Yeah, it's
And
real,
you
you make
put
liver and you put it with the meat.
blood with it.
Yeah, and you mix it up and it turns it dark. It's what looks dark, but it cooks it. You're not eating raw blood.
Yeah.
It just adds a different kind of texture and flavor to it. Really good.
That's what I was
We're
gonna say.
fired up, by the way.
Oh,
We don't want to talk about blood sausage anymore.
So it doesn't matter to me, but good morning.
squeeze the blood.
I'm Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of County Commissioners. And today is 6/7/22, and the time is now 9 o'clock. I will call to order this meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. If you do have your cell phones, please silence them at this time. And Tom, would you lead us in the pledge this morning?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States Republic for which it stands one nation under indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. Kelly, could we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Day,
Present.
Commissioner Kanda.
Here.
Commissioner Flower,
present.
Attorney Clint Smith,
Present via Zoom.
and Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper present.
Okay, and audience introductions. We have one here in the room, not necessarily an audience.
Dorothy Karsten.
And do we have anybody online?
Deb Adams.
Okay, Deb Adams online, and anybody goes to speak later, we will have you identify yourself for the record. Any amendments to the agenda this morning?
None from me.
No, sir.
None here either. We do have 3 sets of minutes for approval this morning. The April 6th, March 16th, and March 31st. I would move that we accept the minutes from those dates as presented.
Second.
Yeah, motion on the floor to accept the minutes from April 6th, March 16th, and March 31st. Discussion on that.
No comments. Look good.
Yes, sir. I have a question. March 16th meeting. I had forgotten about this and then somebody asked me about it. I thought, oh, whatever happened with that? So I didn't have time this morning to pull the file about the search and rescue request for funding. We actually passed a motion to commit 10% of the ARPA funds. And I have a question about that, so.
Thank you.
Dorothy, get seated between the 5 of us, maybe we can sort that out. In the minutes, Dorothy, it says that we voted unanimously to earmark 10% of the ARPA funds for the search and rescue maintenance and repairs. Do you have that sheet, the results of the ARPA stuff that we've committed so far? So my concern is this, and I think we goofed up. Commit 10% towards a project we paid out of building and maintenance fund. I guess I'm not sure exactly what that means, even though I voted on it. 10% of 987,000, or 10% of the first half, or 10% of their 35,000
10%
request.
of their 35,000 requests.
And that's what I
what it
was
was.
thinking.
Yeah, and they're gonna apply for ARPA. Your 10% came out of buildings and buildings and grounds.
Where it was gonna
And
come.
that's how it's stated here in the minutes.
Search and rescue.
It's hard to understand it that way, but that's exactly what.
Yeah, that's what happened, as I remember. I just,
We gave them seed money and they were using
Right.
it for other.
It says to support the application of the ARPA funds to commit 10% towards the project to be paid out of
Yeah.
buildings and
And
maintenance.
it's their request.
So it probably should have said to commit 10% of their $35,000 request, right? I'm good with it as long as we all get it. Because up above it, it does say their request was for 35,000, and they're requesting we match
The way
10%.
to look at it next is, what did we, when we made the projects, it's been earmarked, somebody has a record of it, right, Dorothy?
Well, this would be the record, right?
No,
here.
what I mean is,
If
we
they
had the
got-
projects already listed out. And their request was supposed to be in all the 54 requests that they were.
Right, and that's why I
That's-
asked Dorothy to provide us with this.
And
I'm
that-
looking for it.
And that's on that initial sheet, and then we gave them 10, or what is that, 10%, is $3,500 basically. Should be what we have in a letter going to them saying they got that.
Search and rescue requested 31,500. They were, the committee recommended we approve 18,000.
Right, we said 10%.
And so it's a little funky. We thought they were gonna request 35,000.
Well, and I think at the time he said that they thought that's what they were gonna request was 35.
Yeah, and
So we said 10%
You know
of
what?
whatever they request.
yeah, well, that's the problem. They're 31,500 plus our 3,500
Is
gets them around to that 35 mark, but
They requested initially 35,000.
well, they told us that's what they
30.
expected the project would cost. They never said what they were gonna request.
Well, it's,
So I'm okay with leaving it at that, but we got three different things in play here, really. And I only asked for accuracy of the records to reflect what happened, which I think they do.
Did I put in there 10% of what they
No,
requested?
just 10% towards the project. Which
Well,
their
that-
estimate, the cost for repairs is approximately 35,000, so.
so to me,
we're-
if you want to put lawyer hats on, to me, it's their request that they finally gave us. They gave us an estimate. They gave us a request for 31, and to me, it would be 10% of that.
well, that's not what this.
No.
I know, that's what I
It
said.
says, and they hadn't filled out the ARPA request at that time. They asked us about this way before they submitted their request, so I'm fine with leaving it at 3,500.
Well, and I think, I don't wanna change the minutes to match what they.
No.
Cause that's what they said at the meeting.
Right,
We think the project's gonna be about 35,000. We want 10% matching so that it would help them get their grant.
Right.
Their,
I'm good with leaving it exactly
Yeah,
that way
I-
at $3,500.
So,
Just leave the record like it is.
yes, and I'll speak to that here now because it all adds up, because the project is 35,000. They asked for us to match 10% of that, which is
Right.
3,500, which takes it to 31,500, which is what they
Oh,
requested from
yeah.
ARPA.
right.
So everything adds up, everything
Everything's
is
good.
fine in the line, and
I agree.
I think this accurately records what
Me
took
too.
place.
and we have
Yeah.
not paid that out yet, correct?
No.
Okay.
And somebody asked me about that. Did we pay that 3,500 yet? And I'm assuming that'll go with, we can time that up, send the 3,500 when we write the checks out of ARPA.
Right. It should be in our request in things we've approved already that we earmarked for the end of the month, right? All those projects that we did, we spent a day in here doing that. And we said, we're gonna hold these until the first. and then
Well, until we
release them.
get our.
Till we
second
saw the
payment.
second payment.
Right, it's, they're
I
in the
didn't put
queue.
anything in yet till that.
Right,
But all I'm asking is there a line item that says search and rescue
yes.
10? That's
No, not 10%.
No, but whatever the amount is, okay.
is what they
31,
requested,
and
and they
the,
got 18.
and the record, that record should show. Then the column that says granted should say,
18,000.
I thought it was,
They requested 35, they got, or they requested 31.5. The committee recommended us 18,000 and we approved that.
okay, and it superseded what we were gonna get.
The
Well-
3,500, we still give them.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
made that decision way
Okay.
before ARPA committee functioned.
We still need to pay them the 3,500.
And the
Right.
18,000, so
ARPA money.
I just wanna make sure both of those are
That would
shown.
be my thought is whenever we send out the ARPA checks, we include a check out of general fund, capital or buildings and maintenance.
That's right. It's whatever we
35.
agreed to pay.
Yeah. Other than that, sir, I didn't have any other comments.
Okay, anything from you, Bill?
Nope.
Okay. Those in favor then of accepting the minutes as presented for April 6th,
March 16th,
and March 31st signify by saying aye.
I
Aye.
Aye.
thank you, Kelly, for doing that.
I'm slowly getting there. If you guys would quit having.
But you're
meetings,
getting
that
there.
would help.
Well, we quit. We're not
Quit scheduling
in
for it.
June,
That's true.
so we expect.
Well, I'll be.
It's a break
fully
now.
Up to date by the end of June.
Uh-oh, that's on the record. You better be
I
careful.
better be careful.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, commissioner items.
Thank you, sir. Let me pull that up here real quick. Not a lot to, what did I do? Get it away from me. File it in the wrong. Well, doesn't matter. I'll dig it up later. Let's see, June, of course, June 1st, we all attended the CCI Summer Conference at Vail. I thought that went well. There were a couple of sessions that I sat in. I sit right behind Commissioner Canada in one of them and leaned forward and said, why are we doing this? Why are we having a session on this? The whole rural county thing. There's 2 counties in Colorado that are home rule, and they had that session where, really, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Canada, it sounded like it was a sales pitch for other counties to consider becoming home rule. I don't know why. I said something to Eric Bergman about that. I thought that was a weird session to have up here unless there's other counties that have specifically requested information to determine how they become a home rule county. But other than that, I thought the conference was good. The meal functions went very well, and the hotel accommodations, I was just amazed. I've never been treated that well at a hotel at a convention conference. Those people were right on the money. So enjoyed that and learned some stuff, made some new contacts, other commissioners, new commissioners that came in since last year. And so I thought that was good. And then yesterday, I ended up being all day to get materials for the Custer County Recycles Project. Took my pickup and trailer and went down and got a bunch of materials. Interestingly enough, if you have occasion to go to Home Depot in Canyon City, they no longer allow you to drive through that lumber yard. You park out in the parking lot.
You gotta bring your stuff out. It's kind
They
of
haul it
crazy.
out there. They got one
Take forever.
forklift. There were 6 people. It took me over an hour and a half to get 18 sheets of plywood. And we ended up carrying them out there in a cart by hand. I said, look, I've been here long enough. Whatever we gotta do, let's do it. So a lady and a guy and I loaded those sheets of plywood on a cart, pushed them out in the parking lot, threw them in my trailer. Ridiculous, but anyhow, yeah, so that's a whole change of business. You can imagine now what they've got strung in that warehouse where you used to drive all the way through. Now it's full of orders and inventory, and oh man, it's something. One lady checking everybody out. They won't check you out inside if
thank
you're
you.
buying stuff out in the yard, so.
I mean, not to go there.
Oh, it was.
Put that in
It was
the
a
next time.
challenge, so that's what I've been up to.
All right. Mr. Cannon.
No, that was interesting, that home rule thing. I think that really was, if you don't understand what it is, it means you don't have to follow the state statutes on, you need a department set up the way we do. We could set up our own way of organizing and doing our own thing. Might be better for a small county instead of having all these departments that you don't need, and maybe you can merge things and like that, but which made you exempt from certain things, which I think they were trying to push. You don't have to listen to some of what look like mandates. But anyway, it was interesting conversation. The big item that I want to mention, it was a great conference. There's no question about it. And those are really well worth it. And what I was disappointed in, that I didn't have the foresight to remember to make sure we sent some of our people. We need to get the road and bridge guys there for a day when there's stuff going on that are in impact them. That road boss should be there. Same with public health. Public health should have been to several of those meetings where they had other directors there from their county who were participating in the discussions, which would have been useful, because I know that Dr. Brown talks to a lot of people that sat at my table. For example, the director for CDPHE's human, he talked with her, the human resources, and Laura Lockhart. I mean, Laura's name was tossed around like she was venerated by those people. I don't tell her that because she's coming in late. So that's useful. They should go to those, because that's we need to make sure we think of that. It's not just for us. And it's hard to relay it back. I have to take notes and go back there and I say, well, why don't you call this person and find out what she told me, you know? So I think that's a good thing to do. Also, I want to make public, everybody, we've got a nice email I sent it to you guys from Hickenlooper's staffer. Said we did make the cut to make Hickenlooper submitted this for the airport upgrade, ramp expansion and fuel farm, et cetera, to be put in the pool now. So that's a big first step. It wasn't tossed out as irrelevant or minor. It's a real deal. And that was almost $2 million of the stuff that we've already done the engineering. We had the leg up on it. We spent a lot of our own money, and we spent a lot of people's money that have been gifted to us for that project. And so that's good to know that that investment's going to pay off, possibly. Still could get thrown out, but that's a good first step. And other than that, I've made some contacts with the VSO of different counties, and I'm going to work with Jared on an issue that was brought to me to have his help in another county. And that's a private matter, but it's really good to know that they respect our people. And we have a lot of veterans that live here that have family in all these other counties, believe it or not. So they're reaching across for us for some help. So that was great. And that's all I have for now.
All right. Well, I think everybody in the county building is aware that we had a film crew in here yesterday, so they came and
Kevin starred them.
they came to spoke to me, and they also caught Jackie from planning and zoning.
I
So
forget, when he called, what was the purpose of that? They just wanted to do a story on Bishop's Castle, and who was it?
the gentleman's first name is Brendan. Forgive me, I don't have his
Yeah,
last
was
name.
that for TV station or?
They actually are attending a film school in Denver.
Learning how to use
And
that.
I'm not sure if this was a class project or exactly what it was. So basically, I believe he was trying to focus mainly on any issues and that the county has had, issues between the county and the castle, to mix in with the positive aspects of it as well. Just kind of what I garnered from him visiting with him afterwards. So we had them in here at the same time we started our jury trial yesterday. So it was a little crowded around in this particular section of the courthouse.
Why there's a big sign out there.
So, and then we did I think we're all aware that we did get our approval letter back for the purchase of the lots in Silver Cliff. I did get those sent off our offer to purchase and also the acceptance letter from the college back, and I have forwarded them to Central Colorado Title. I believe those will probably be addressed next week by them. Because we have a vacation that's taking place right now from over there. So those are sent off. And then I would touch on CCI for just a second as well. I thought there were some pretty good sessions in that as well. Including the very last one on the day we left, that morning session. Just kind of a big round table of the different counties from our mountain district, giving updates from their counties, and I think that was a pretty good little group there.
We were fortunate that we were early on the docket, right? Because the time crunch got to a couple of those latter counties, but
Yeah, we could have used a little bit more time on that. And we had a little bit of come and go because that was the only thing about the Hyatt this time around. Last year, they gave me a later checkout, which was very nice, but this time they stuck with an 11 o'clock checkout. Our session went to 11:45, so there were people coming and going to get checked out of their rooms. But I thought that was a good session. Brought some stuff to mind to me that I would like to possibly bring up. I know we have our PIO position that we need to address here shortly, and a couple other things I might want to bring up during that time. So I was wanting to know if we might be able to look at our calendars now and maybe get a hiring workshop scheduled. So
We need to, we got what, 5 vacancies or something like that.
yeah, and I would probably not want to just post it as a PIO workshop. I think probably as a hiring workshop. Because I'd like to bring some other stuff up as well during that. Anybody have? I was actually looking yesterday. I don't know if you gentlemen are available on the 15th or not. That would be next Wednesday. I am unavailable Friday, Monday, and Tuesday is why I asked for next Wednesday.
yeah, we've canceled our Board of Health meeting, correct?
Correct.
We talked about it. We never officially, of course,
Yeah.
we haven't met as a Board of Health to officially do that, but I guess by consent, we emailed back and forth.
We did.
Decided not to cancel or not to have.
Dr.
that.
Brown, no. He can't
Yeah,
roast
since
it.
we're not having Board of Health or Commissioner meeting, I'd do that. That's when we normally have a Commissioner meeting.
Okay.
We have a weed tour that evening, but.
Okay, and I did visit with Braden on that. He said he's tied up until about 10 o'clock. Would you guys be able to meet, say at 10?
Yes, sir.
I have a commitment, but I can move. If you do it at 10 and we get done in a couple hours, that'll be all right.
Okay. Why don't we shoot for that? I think that would be good to do that. Okay,
Sir.
you betcha. And that is all that I have. Mr. Smith, do you have anything for us this morning?
Clint has lost internet. He called me and he is not yet.
Dial him in here.
Okay.
You call him up.
So if he comes back on and would like to hit us,
I'll
we'll
keep an eye out for
we'll
it.
make a break in the action for him at that time. Do you have anything for us?
The only thing I want to make everybody aware of is that we have not yet received the funds for the
Hey, Clint,
ARPA.
do you want to say something?
Money,
Didn't my
And
phone speaker,
I've
your-
gotten a lot of phone calls, which is
you lost or
great.
something?
It gives me an opportunity to talk to the recipients and let them kind of get them updated, keep them updated. So I know Virginia's checking every morning and evening.
Yeah, but
And
hold
we'll
on.
let everybody know as soon as they come in.
And then I believe you got quite a few, well, at least some of your forms back yesterday, so you're not missing too many.
Yes, sir. I believe we're missing 11 forms yet.
Or is the W-9s and the signed acceptance?
And I'll start making phone calls.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Okay, so I got Clint online. He says he's connected, but he's not, but he speaks now. So go ahead, Clint.
All right, well, under attorney items, I had more to say, but what I need to say right now is that the executive session this afternoon, or at the end of this meeting, rather, I don't know if Braden was going to be part of that or not. Can you answer that for me initially?
Yeah, Braden's in the back. Braden.
Okay, all right, well, because Braden and I exchanged emails yesterday evening, and there's another personnel issue that needs to be discussed briefly. So my request is that after we finish the first personnel issue, we go into a second unrelated personnel issue. And it's not anything where the employee involved needs to be present. This is strictly informative for the Board of County Commissioners. Braden has some information to share, and I have some suggestions on how it should be handled. So I just would like you to make sure that we can do both personnel matters in the same executive session.
You ready with both of them, Braden? Can you do both? Okay, he says he'll be ready.
Okay, well, that's fine. I will, of course, the executive session is gonna have to be done by a phone connection anyway, I guess. I'm gonna continue to try to connect through the internet and get back on the Zoom meeting, but if not, I would hope somebody would call me when it's time for the executive session so I can be a part of that. Okay?
You'll be the first one we call. You got anything else attorney item wise since you're on?
I had some other things to talk about, but I don't want to do this over the phone. I'd rather do it either through Zoom or just wait until,
Okay,
one other thing, I am gonna have to miss the meeting tomorrow. It's I think presumably my final doctor's appointment with my orthopedic surgeon in the morning, so I won't be at tomorrow's BOCC meeting, but I will definitely be attending in person after that, so. But the other matters I have, they can wait. I'll talk about them later.
okay.
Okay, so just to clarify, Clint, this is Kevin.
Yeah,
Then we will be going into executive session and coming back out and then back in, or are we able to address both issues at the same executive session?
I think we can do, they're both personnel matters. One, the employee will be present. And when that part's finished, then I would just suggest you take a short recess while that employee leaves. The other personnel matter does not require the employee to be present. And I think we could just do it all in one executive session. We don't have to have two separate executive sessions since they're
Okay.
both personnel related.
All right, I might have Braden address that. I believe that we may not have a person attending the first part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Clint. This is Braden. Just to speak to that real quick, we will not have that employee present for the first part, but There's been some changes there that I would like to discuss still, so it would not, I do not think that it would necessitate the employee being there for it.
Okay, well, I still need to participate when you're ready to go into
Right.
executive session, so somebody call me and.
We'll call you,
we'll go
Clint.
into- Yeah, but we'll do both of them at the same time then.
Okay, we're good.
Thank you.
Keep trying, and Dorothy will let us know if it works back there.
Yeah, I should pop up eventually if I get connected again, so.
All right.
It says I've got internet service here, but it's not coming through, so.
I think a county blade just dug up your cables. What happened?
Well, I have a cable.
Okay, we'll see.
All right, bye.
Vehemently deny it.
Okay, and are you done with your items?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Then that brings us to public comment. And if anybody has any public comment on things that are not on the agenda, feel free to bring them up at this time.
Deb Adams.
Deb, you got her hand up?
Yep.
All right, Deb.
Good
Go ahead.
morning. Good morning. So I'm on the county website and I'd like to ask how citizens know about a fire ban, because it looks like you have removed it completely. I realize there is not a fire ban at this time, but you know that it will appear again. So where do citizens get the information?
Well, when I went the other day, if you go to the sheriff's office on there, it is listed under that as well. Did you try that?
Well, the thing is, no, I haven't, but the thing is, how would people know to go to the sheriff's office? I don't understand why it's not front and center on the county website, because I do believe that wildfire is probably one of the greatest dangers that this county could encounter. So I understand it being on the sheriff's office, sheriff's link, but how would citizens know that?
Mainly because the sheriff is the fire marshal, and when you click on that, that's a big red banner across the top, says no fire restrictions at this time. And gives you a phone number to call for direction.
Well, I mean, if you
Debbie?
think that, yeah, yes, Bill?
Meanwhile, Debbie, as you know, the website's being reworked and redone. And that's a suggestion that we've all had. There ought to be a place on the front banner of all the things that are important for a person to click on. So the IT guys have taken all the notes and they're working it out, and we're going to get a demo of that here soon.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the papers, in the sheriff's office is first thing people call is 911 for a fire anyway, and they need to get their words into the sheriff's office. They all know it's the sheriff's marshal. So here's Vernon, the IT guy, to talk to you.
When we have fire bans, we put a banner up on top of the webpage.
Mhm.
It's on the header of every single webpage across the county.
Mhm.
The sheriff office runs their own webpage, so they do the same thing. And then we were told to take it down because we're out of the fire ban. Would you like a banner that says no fire ban in at this time?
Well, I mean, personally, I think that it is one of the major concerns of the county. Even if we don't have a fire ban at this time, people might still question, well, do we have a fire ban? So I think it's valid to be on the homepage of the county without people having to search for it. I don't know if everyone knows that it would be on the sheriff. So I just think it is wise, and I am not whining as quoted in a recent article. I just want to protect our county, and I really think wildfire, especially with the weather that we're experiencing, is just a major concern. So thank you, Vern.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think historically, since I've been a commissioner, the only time there was any information on the fire ban was when we were in a fire ban. But I kind of agree that somebody coming into the county wouldn't know that. I'm not sure why the banner was taken down. I would support having a banner up there, fire ban status, maybe none,
Green.
stage one, or whatever the appropriate language would be. I don't know. I would defer to the IT department, but
It's actually a tough one. I get about 5 emails a week in the summertime asking where we're at. We can't keep it in the paper every week, so, yeah, I do think. there's-
yeah, especially when we're not under a fire ban. you
And
know.
particularly in the summertime, so, yeah, I don't have a great solution. to solve
Maybe
that.
we could just say currently no ban in place,
We
or
could
if
put
it
something like that in.
changes.
And the fire department does have that, so.
Yeah.
But I think it would make sense that people coming into the county would probably not maybe know that the sheriff's a fire marshal. You think it would make sense for them to look for a fire district website or the county website.
And I think the reason it was taken down is because we told IT to take it down. Because it was still listed as.
Because it was listed as
It
stage
was
2,
still listed as a stage
Right.
2 fire ban.
so
So
nothing to laugh at. It was
that is
fact.
why it was taken down, is because we
Well-
directed them to do so.
Yeah,
Yeah, and correcting it and taking it down.
We
different
could put
things.
up a stage banner there,
Yeah.
so that they can change for 1, 2, or none.
Yeah, fire state,
okay.
fire
Um,
burn.
Why don't we just
stage.
raise it to 3 and just eliminate all?
Yeah.
Well,
So-
and I
Hold
want
on.
to say that having the fire
Hold on.
ban
Debbie.
stages chart. I
Debbie,
thought
hold
this
on.
is public comment.
But we hadn't finished what Vernon just had said, so hold on just a second. The bottom line is, simple is better, and we've taken it out of there. If it were on there, we already know it would have been put on. Newspapers don't carry it every week, and neither do the other counties. The other counties have signs up just like we do on the roads, when there's no fire ban. And people usually, if you're driving in, would call the fire department if they see a reason to, or if they have a request for a fire to burn themselves. So, good point, Vern.
From a public information standpoint, I feel like we should put those variable messaging signs out saying what stage of fire we're in.
If it's on,
Because
but
it grabs everybody as a driver.
Yeah, I would agree if we're under.
if we're under a fire ban. So, but if there's not one,
Well, we could have one tomorrow.
people can call up, anybody in the court, the clerk or whatever. There's no reason they can't.
Mr. Farr,
Thank you, sir. We're
Hang on,
only
David.
allotted so much time to have those variable message signs up with our agreement
Right.
with CDOT. I would agree, that's to me a perfect use of those signs if we are under a fire.
Right.
ban, Which
We
it's
did.
almost, the default is we're not. And if we are, then we put the information out
Right.
there. I don't think we could put those signs out and say we're not under a fire ban. They'd be up there too long. hopefully.
light them up.
Yeah, I think people would.
Well, they
Opposite
get
of
numb to it too, and
Yeah.
they don't pay attention.
Sure.
Okay,
We'll get a
Debbie.
banner up on the website.
Thank you, Vernon. Debbie, go ahead now.
Is Vern still in the room?
Vernon,
Yeah, I hear.
he can hear you.
Okay, so I want to compliment that having the fire ban stages chart under news and alerts. I don't know if that thread, if it will get lost being moved down as different things come up, but that's another thing as far as educating the public. Well, what does it mean when it's stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3? So if you do have some sort of link to whatever the fire ban stage is, having that chart available to people, I think is just very valuable.
Well, we have a new website that I hope to be launched by the end of this week. So we'll address all of
Okay.
that.
Okay, thank you, Vern.
Thank you.
That's all I
Thank you,
have to say.
Thank you, Deb. Any other public comment?
Yeah, I do. Unless somebody behind me. Mostly just to get it on the public record, we filed a complaint with, against Bill Kanda and Kevin Day as part of the Wetbound Tribune. There's a 90-day period that we have to wait. We have not heard a response from either the county attorney, CTSI. So far, Mr. Flower, even though he's not named in it, is the only one that has acknowledged receipt. So I think the 21st is 90 days. So just to kind of give you a heads up that we are getting to that deadline. We have not gotten a response from anybody.
And we have received it.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you, sir. Staff reports. Braden, you are up, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good. How are you all doing?
Good to see you again.
See you too. All right. Just let the record show
That you're here.
that if we're late for road and bridge, it's I'll try to get done in 15 minutes here. So first up, I was asked to read a statement. I think in my HR position, this is pertinent, and this is a statement from the Custer County employees. And it says, the undersigned employees of the Custer County Courthouse wish to go on record as saying that Commissioner Flower has not turned the courthouse into a hostile workplace. Commissioner Flower has not been hostile to any of us, and we do not appreciate the public speaking for the other offices in the courthouse. Nor do we appreciate hearing that the building is a hostile workplace. Likewise, Commissioner Flower has never tried to tell the other elected officials in the building how to run their departments. It hasn't happened and wouldn't be tolerated. Again, the purpose of this letter is to put these ridiculous rumors to bed and to try to peacefully move on with conducting the business of county government. And this is signed by J.D. Henrich, Caitlin Womack, David Roscoe, Chris Bryson, Dorothy Karsten, Marilyn Keffer, Rhonda Post, Laura Lockhart, Lisa Bivens, Vernon Roth, Virginia Trujillo, Kristen Maloney, Jennifer Pappas Ray, Barbie Gearhart, Christina Wilson, Kelly Camper, Phyllis Wilson, Amy Moulton, Lauren Neeson, Stacy Schock, Braden Wilson, Jordan Benson. I said Vernon Roth. So just wanted to make sure that that was on record, because there had been a report before after there was a suggestion that there was a hostile work environment, and that seems to have been either ignored by the public or maybe not in a form that is as formal as this. So wanted to make sure that this was on the record.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
I was gonna say I would request a copy of that be attached to the minutes. I don't know if I need to have that in form of motion or not, but
Should be, he read it as the record, so it's,
yeah, I
It's
would
just
move
part of the
that
record.
we attach the letter that Braden read.
I'll second it.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor to attach a copy of this letter to the minutes of this meeting. Any discussion on that?
Yeah, obviously, thank you for bringing that to us today. I appreciate that. I certainly have had communications with most of those people saying the same thing, and so I just appreciate that being in writing and part of the record. And so thank you for bringing it forward, and thank you to all of the staff and elected officials. Appreciate that.
Okay, any other comments? All right, those in favor then of attaching a copy of this letter to the official minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, my report for this month. First of all, wanted to address the quarterly crew meeting that we had this last week, and pleased to say that there were over 20 in attendance, and we had representation from every building except for BSO. So I think we're moving in a good direction as far as participation goes.
That was a good meeting, I thought.
Yes, Commissioner Kanda was there as for the commissioner corner is what we're calling it. And there were two items that were brought up while he was there. First of which was chip sealing the parking lot. And essentially between talk with Vince, who was in attendance, and just general discussion that it really would be cost prohibitive this year, especially with the price of oil. So I think everybody was very understanding of that. The other thing that was brought up was the roof repair and kind of an update on that. And I guess the response that we had from Commissioner Kanda was that it wasn't accepted within the congressionally directed spending. We initially had tried to do that through there, and that was not accepted there. So I suspect that the employees will continue to ask about how that's going, but we at least know that is not an option moving forward in that to fund it in that way. So besides that, the discussion that happened afterwards, one is regarding new opportunities for involvement. I sent an email that I believe you all were copied on this. And we've got 5 different teams or committees that are coming forward that I have at least initiated, and for various reasons. And I'd like to read them here just real quick. The first is the Crew Future Team. And the purpose of this team is to advise leadership and assist implementation of greater stewardship of county personnel's futures through retirement programs and more. So really, this is a group that can start looking at retirement, what we would want as a county personnel, and then continue to build that out as far as education goes, different things like that. We do have a pretty poor rate of involvement regarding our voluntary contributions to retirement. So it's my hope that something like this, required, of course, everybody does the required portion, but I would say right around 10% of the county is all that's using our voluntary, the 457
Really?
account. So I think there's some work to be done there. And I think a lot of that just has to do with education. So this would be a team or a committee that would start to build that up and figure out how we can get people to get involved in that.
Sherry Wyatt's with Board of Health.
Yes.
Person that's on that committee.
Currently, I've only had one response and I believe that was Miles Dion for that team. So I didn't have a list of who's there yet. It's kind of through the end of Thursday is what I've given everybody to let me know what team they might want to be a part of, if they want to be a part of the team. The second one is the Crew Wellness Team, and this is to advise leadership and assist implementation of greater stewardship of county personnel's health and wellness.
Sorry, I jumped down the line on you.
Oh, no worries. Yes. Yeah, so yes, Sherry has graciously volunteered in that meeting to be part of this team. She currently is the only one that is signed up for this one. This really would be centered around the health insurance and then continuing to build that out. I think there's a lot of good ideas that could come forth, such as having a van come in and doing an annual physical for county employees. And maybe that could save us some money on our health insurance. And so, how can we continue to bolster the health and wellness of our personnel? Third team is the Crew Recruitment and Retention Team. This wasn't originally one that I wanted to bring up this quarter, but as discussion went on during the meeting, it became very apparent that it would be helpful to start it sooner rather than later. And I think I guess to read what it is, to advise leadership and assist implementation of finding, hiring, and keeping county personnel through clear job descriptions, substantiated pay, performance reviews, and more. This is something we've already been talking about doing for this year, and so I think it would be pertinent to go ahead and get that team together.
What's it called? What's a short version of the name of it?
The Recruitment and Retention Team.
Okay.
Yep. The fourth would be the Crew Fun Team, and this is to advise leadership and assist implementation of events and activities that boost county personnel's morale. So who's the fun guy? Well, surprisingly, not
chief?
a lot of people have signed up for this one. I kind of figured this one would be the heavy one, but not too many people yet, but there, there's things like the door decorating contest at Christmas that I think just really helped the spirit of the county at that time, and things like our parties. And I know we've had those more consistently in the past, and then COVID hit, and then things kind of got wonky, and now we're trying to implement that again. And we had what I think is a good model yesterday, in which we celebrated the June birthdays during break.
Oh,
And
good.
so we had snacks and
I was wondering why all that stuff was there.
yeah, exactly.
I came and went too quick.
Yeah. So, this would be a committee that could really think about what are some things that we could do just to keep morale up and celebrate the things that we should be celebrating here. So last and certainly not least is the Policy Revision Committee to advise leadership and assist implementation of creating sensible policies and procedures for county personnel. And this is really just in response to needing to get this policy conversation started and moving forward. So I know this was a conversation that was about a year ago that we were kind of talking about putting a committee together, and then that kind of shifted here and there as far as how we wanted to do that. Just for the sake of moving things forward, brought this up, and this is actually the heavy one. This is the one where most people are interested in participating. So I'm happy to see that, and I think that's also a testament to the importance of getting this straightened out. So.
Question, if I may. Glaringly, I believe there's one name missing off of the Policy Revision Committee. I
And
wasn't at the meeting, so I have no idea how the conversation went, but I would certainly like to see county clerk be on that, because there's a wealth of knowledge sitting over
I
there.
missed the meeting too.
Oh, you
and
did,
I haven't-
okay.
I haven't got back to Bridge.
Jen got be able to volunteer yet.
I didn't know if you were there or not, but we've had extended conversations about these policies. And I thought, I'm sure Ms. Kelly's involved in that. Got a wealth of historical knowledge.
I do know she was wanting on the fund committee, but I didn't.
She doesn't need to be trying to.
But what's more fun than policy?
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Point taken.
That's just
policy should be listed under the fund
Yeah,
committee, maybe.
yeah.
What the heck?
just a rhetorical question, really.
Yeah. But yeah, looks good. Looks great.
The next couple things that were brought up, we're moving the quarterly crew meeting to the second Thursday of the month. The last day of the month really is just not a good time for everyone to meet.
Wednesday.
Thursday, second Thursday of the month at 9 a.m.
Oh, not tied. DOCC.
Right, yeah, since I know originally it was to be tied to make sure that a commissioner could be there to facilitate the meeting. Now that
Right.
facilitation isn't
facilitate.
happening. We
Guest
figured this would
speakers
be
come and go.
right,
What time did you say, 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock. So the next one will be September 8th at 9 a.m. And I have Commissioner Day as the one that was signed up according to the meeting schedule.
I'm good with this following that. So if I may, sir, just a question. Apparently, this was a topic of discussion at the staff meeting. My initial thought was, when's our busiest time in the courthouse? Is it in the morning? First open for business, and is that a good time to try to have a staff meeting or not, would be my only question.
The consensus, this was the consensus in that meeting, and I would say that Kelly was represented, her office was represented in that discussion, because I guess Virginia would be the other one I'd look to, but Kelly had certainly mentioned that the mornings are not as busy as
No.
the afternoons for clerk's office.
Yeah.
And would you suggest the same, Virginia?
Okay,
So.
I'm surprised, but okay, that's it.
The last thing that we went over was these roundtable discussions, and this is just kind of a catch-all of anything that we didn't hit. And the two things that we talked about were positive progress and then areas for attention. Within the positive progress is, it was stated that our new recycling program is something that was exciting. I brought that up because just being part of those discussions, it is exciting to see this new recycling program get started and the department itself. And we have a newly hired manager, program manager, Kathy Lurie, and her first day was yesterday. So she got to come in, and since we were having the break and snacks and stuff, got to meet a lot of the employees. So certainly excited to have her on. I think she's got a wealth of experience in this field and really is going to get this started off strong.
You know, she can weld.
Don't know if she can weld.
Should have been in the interview.
Yeah,
process.
should ask that
She
question.
was a welder.
Yeah.
Does she take Dennis? Is Dennis no longer?
Well, this is the program manager. Dennis is the operations manager.
Okay.
So we're
This is
talking
the
about that being
administrative position.
Okay.
a transition in his title, because currently he's, I'm not exactly sure, recycling operator maybe. And then his title would then move to recycling
Cycle
operations manager.
Okay.
So yes, he will still be there so long as that's what he wishes to do.
And Kathy was hired part-time.
Part-time, correct. The second positive thing was Jackie's retirement. She brought that up. It wasn't brought up by somebody else, though we all are happy for her. So, and then to kind of piggyback on that one was the hiring of the planning and zoning clerk, Carlin Cardenas. And if you tried her cake yesterday, we're certainly happy. That
Good
she's
hire.
here. So, yeah.
I saw your email, I think it was to us, to former Sheriff Byerly's point.
Yeah.
Could we send that email out countywide?
It was.
Oh, it was? Okay, I couldn't tell that, so.
Yeah, so I, just for brevity's sake, I do BCC everybody when I send out an all email. And that
Yeah,
way
so we
there's
gotta
not
be
a
careful
bunch in
how
the
we
beginning.
reply to you.
Yeah, Yeah.
It'll go worldwide.
well, in that
Gotta be
case, it would just come to me.
Yeah, reply
Yeah,
all.
there is no reply all
Doesn't
there.
even take into account BCC. then.
Right, yeah.
Well,
So,
thank you for doing that. I thought that was a great point that he brought up.
absolutely. Yeah, so and hopefully we'll continue to build out that onboarding process because we did have emails, and so now everybody should be aware that those two were hired and what their emails are to contact. So yeah, that's very much a thank you to former Sheriff Byerly for that suggestion. Lastly is the areas of attention for that crew meeting. And this was just really a question regarding which departments should use which copiers, who pays for it, proper accounting of it all. There are some cases where people from outside of their department or the building have come in and used different copiers. And then I know Kelly pays for everything that's in Virginia's office, and then JD, I believe, pays for everything up in the copy room upstairs, and then Jackie for everything that's over in the Rock House. So I think that's, I just want to bring it up. I'm not sure we really have an answer for it just because of bandwidth right now. But I think there's certainly a place to maybe have department codes in the future where a department would come in, put in their code, and then we can more accurately keep track of those things.
Probably ought to get together with Vernon and come up with a straight up policy. Here's who it's gonna do what.
Yeah.
Consider it in the budget.
So, yeah, so hopefully for next year, maybe we can have something like that ready, but I know right now there's just not bandwidth between
Good.
my department and his, so. Any questions on that meeting?
I would just comment real quick, we are still waiting for a bid to repair the roof. So I think Kevin was gonna reach out on my behalf today and ask about getting that bid. Thank you.
Compare with the one we got.
I met with him probably now 3 weeks ago, 2.5, 3 weeks.
If I may, I'll piggyback on that. I did receive something, not in county now, but for our that came, it was a flyer that came to the church in Wetmore. With coding system. I will bring that up to see if that is something that might be of interest or something that we could pursue that way. I believe they do replacements and or repairs of what you have with a synthetic coating.
So did you ask them to come and look and put a bid in?
No, it's just a flyer that I've got. I have not pursued that.
Be a good idea to see if they.
In Colorado company, do you
I
remember?
believe so.
I would encourage maybe us to move forward with that. We're gonna have to get 3 bids eventually anyway. It's certainly gonna be over the bids.
I will bring that tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
All we have is one right now. What we got? 2 more.
Yeah, I would caution us when we, if and when we move forward with that we don't automatically assume the low bidder situation here, because they're not gonna be apples and oranges.
That's
We're
right.
gonna have to consider them.
Best value.
Yeah.
They're all-
I might add a footnote on the parking lot. Sorry, Vince, for holding him up here. On the parking lot situation too. Chip seal works really well out on the roads, and I know that's what we had here in the parking lot. But it is not real good for parking lots, because everybody tends to sit there in the same spot and crank their wheel, which digs a hole in chip seal. Chip seal is a good top coat for a mat. But if you're sitting still and cranking your wheels, it tends to dig holes. I know that's what we have, that's what we can do. But we might think about that.
Yeah, the longer a vehicle sits on chip seal, the more tendency there is to fish that out too. So-
You know, there's a hot plant coming in somewhere soon, and there may be an opportunity if they not doing that.
I'm seeing a note from Vince back here. So
Can't borrow, can't get on anybody.
Is that coming in?
It's not gonna come in.
I heard they're gonna haul out of Walsenburg.
Are they really? Bummer.
okay, I'm done.
Okay, thank you. No, thanks for those updates on those. The last thing I have singularly here is the audit. The auditors are in here. They are here. They are in progress. They're downstairs and they are awaiting my attention on things. And so in regards to that, and there's just a lot of front end loading, I guess, to just because of the new system that we're needing to help with that. And so as a result of that, I'm closing my office this week just to make sure that I'm available for them and that we're working through all of that. So that's my plan, is just to really spend time with them down there, going through things, better understanding what they're looking for and how that translates into our new
So it's
system.
closing your office mean Lisa's still gonna be there, right? Is somebody gonna answer questions that come in?
Right now,
You're gonna take everybody
the
out.
plan is no, yeah, that Lisa would be down there as well, and that we would be working specifically with them. So I think in emergencies, you know, if there is an emergency,
Probably ought to put some kind of message on the phone then, so people are gonna call and wonder why you're not answering.
okay,
And then we'll get a bunch of complaints that nobody's looking.
yeah.
Or maybe send an email out to everybody.
Email too, but.
And I did
Whole
put a,
county, you can't do it the whole county.
Is there a way to forward the calls somewhere?
Trouble is, there is, but it doesn't work.
oh yeah. I did put a message, a vacation message up for email, so there is an automatic response suggesting that when that happens, but we'll look at putting a message on the phones. And of course, if you guys hear anything, you know, you have my number, so,
Yeah, maybe a sign on the door,
and signs up,
because
because
it'd be pretty unusual to close that office down for an entire.
Pretty tough call there.
so I wouldn't, I don't take that call lightly, but they're at a point where they're getting ready to head back down the hill, and
Maybe you could
give us more time to straighten up things.
could
if we
consider
don't-
maybe putting, if an emergency, text this number, and then you can decide whether it's an emergency or not.
Okay.
You know, it's
It's
not
probably
gonna
gonna
interrupt.
be every year. This first
Right,
year
it just should be this,
Yeah.
this go around, yeah. Yeah, because there's a lot to be straightened out, so. And part of that straightening out is my last piece, and Virginia's here to help me with that. She didn't sneak
She would have
out.
been, but
You know,
you're
I
awful wordy. Oh, there
Yeah.
she is.
I was actually sitting here and trying to think, Virginia's not on the docket today, so.
So one thing that's come up and I've come to understand better, Virginia's tried to tell me, but I just haven't listened. So the idea that we cannot have a negative fund balance in any of our funds. And this year, the airport has been consistently in a negative fund balance. And so this isn't new. It sounds like this is the way it has been for some time, but we do need to fix that. And so I don't know what that needs to look like as far as front loading, kind of that transfer from general funds. I think there's a bigger discussion to be had in regards to the revenue that the airport brings in. And a big piece of that being gas prices and whether or not we have a margin on those or not.
Who's here for the audit? Is Sam?
Sam in the game.
Yeah, you're gonna have that, you're gonna have that discussion with him. Well, it's
We
here.
have had
We
that.
should have.
Yeah, we've started
Maybe
to have
some
that.
suggestions. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
his-
the suggestion was to
raise gas prices.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
short of that,
Is that the culprit at the airport is?
Well,
I
it's-
don't see the bills. I just know it's negative and they've always been short.
they had a beginning budget, they project, and we load the airport with something or not, depending on what the request is.
Well, that's not been,
I haven't done any transfers for the airport in like 2 years.
Yeah, and you're not going to.
So, and am I not going to anymore because of
It's
the resolutions?
Yes. I don't know. How that phrase.
that's a good question, one that I think we need to discuss with the auditors, because they had mentioned they had questions about my department being the one that does the transfers, but that is how it was set up
That's how
with
it was
CIC.
before,
So,
so
well, before
when Donna did it.
Virginia's office did the
We requested
Fund
the
balance.
transfer. The clerks actually implemented it
oh,
through the BOCC, and that was given to the finance. So it was a circle.
Right, so you just got to figure out how the process needs to be.
Yeah.
Let's figure out.
yeah.
But they
so-
shouldn't be at this time, short.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Not
they
short on-
overspent their budget is what that means, correct?
29,138.92.
Can't raise gas prices enough to do that.
Yeah.
Too much
Trying
spending
to
on something.
find.
Stuff that they had in
Find their.
the tank. Money to be moved. They haven't done it.
Not my department.
So I don't know if we need an answer today. This might be certainly the procedural conversation will happen with the auditors, but it's at least something to be aware of that we're going to need to take some sort of
Right,
action.
you're gonna have to make a recommendation on how we get the balance positive and where that money comes from. And we don't do something else or that it's and then something else. I don't know. We don't have visibility to you. Virginia and Sam get together.
Yeah, I'm looking at their budget, they had an ending balance in their budget, 2022, wasn't a lot, but we didn't budget a negative figure. So their revenue minus expenses was the whole 3750 according to their budget, but
And in that, does it show in the revenue a transfer?
no,
Probably
it does not. Well, who knows, that miscellaneous 41,000. but it doesn't specifically speak to that. I know emergency services has historically run in the red.
Well, they haven't for a while,
Yeah.
2 years, they've been good.
We got that taken care of, and now airports raised it.
Well, typically, what the process used to be, Donna would say, this X amount of money is coming out of it. Do they have enough money? And we would tell them, no, you need to hold it until they get enough money. So Brady not knowing this procedure, and I can't read anything other than what I have here, because of the new system. I would tell Brady they're in the red. They're not doing good, but he didn't know specifically what his role was in that.
Yeah. So the money's been coming in, going somewhere. And not being transferred, is that what I'm hearing?
No, the money's been going in the airport.
Right. It has.
We budgeted 80 grand and they're already 29,000 over.
Part of that was supposed to be coming from capital improvement for the tank.
Right,
So
so the
something got-
29,000 is over what revenue has come in so far.
Mhm.
So that wouldn't be the full picture, because we
Right.
still have revenue that
That's
we're
right.
expecting. But that doesn't matter in the fund balance, whether it's
Sure.
positive, well, with it being negative, we have to pace that out better, or we need to figure out how to the front end that transfer, because based on what we did last year, we waited until the end to actually transfer something from
Mhm.
general fund to airport. But
Well, yeah, but maybe I'm missing a cog here. We're talking about airports, so let's use an example. They were budgeted 80,000. That's what they live on. Just like any other department, right? We can't give them 80,000 and say, well, if you need more, we'll transfer it. That doesn't work.
right, but we budgeted a transfer in there. I'm sure that's in the miscellaneous.
Okay,
part of
yeah,
that.
that miscellaneous
I'll have
was
to
part of
double
that
check.
80,000.
Yeah,
And if it is transferred, then we budgeted for it, but.
Yeah.
We can't tell that by looking at the.
Right.
At the budget itself.
So listen, to be respectful to everybody else's time, we can't work it here.
Right.
We need more information. We need to understand it's great to brought it up. We need to address it and fix it.
Yep.
So, and you've got the right people here. We're fortunate that Sam's here to deal with it directly. So we can either talk some more about it tomorrow during the airport time, but that's not gonna give you much time to find things maybe. Or schedule a meeting and let's figure out what we're gonna do.
yeah, we'll plan
So that
on
we can, Vince is getting antsy and people are calling about the rough roads.
that. Yeah, no, that sounds good. I could certainly stand to go out too. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure you guys knew about it. Any other questions for me?
Good job.
I do not, thank you.
Good job. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Need a short break or no?
Just one stretch.
Well, let's press on.
Let's get him out of the way because he needs the break.
I need to break.
You got Commissioner Candace speaking for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Morning, sir.
Morning. Okay, mag got bumped up for another 3 weeks. So we're not gonna start magging roads till third week in July. The company we're using, he had equipment problems. He just got his trucks back online and the weather is putting behind schedule, so that puts us behind.
You have a scheduled
How
road.
far behind?
Did we get a report?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is the one that came out from Dorsey.
You said I just didn't get it transferred in. So you have a list
Thank
of
you.
those roads?
Yeah, I got everything lined, I had everything lined out to go and then we're
Still got snow removal on here, or is that just your last report?
she didn't take that off. But- So Meg's pushed back. I am gonna do asphalt roads in July. There's a come from Fremont paving.
You're gonna what now?
When we do asphalt roads, it's coming from Fremont paving. I don't have a price. I'll get a price from you. Because they're not gonna have an asphalt plant up here. It's gonna be in Walsenburg for the project on Highway 96. They're gonna haul it.
That's a long haul.
That's what I was told, so.
When's that gonna happen?
They're pushed back to the project for Highway 96. They're not starting till August. That's what I heard.
Really? So did you hear that recently?
Mhm.
I saw a report from
I was just in a
CDOT.
meeting with him last week.
But that could be hearsay. And then we did have a problem at the road and bridge with a fire hydrant leaking. Kevin's aware of it. I called him yesterday. I will get it resolved Thursday. I have a company coming from Colorado Springs. They're gonna work on a fire hydrant. It's not gonna cost us any labor because he's gonna have a teaching class with his employees, new employees up there in Colorado Springs. It's just gonna cost road and bridge parts.
Is
And
that the new hydrant we just put in?
the hydrant is 2004 was put in.
Oh, not the one by the fire station.
Well, it's one in our property at Road and Bridge. It's
Right
leaking.
there by the corner.
Yeah, right by the corner. It's leaking 20 to 25 gallons an hour. We did slow it down. We opened up the fire hydrant. It's on right now. I put the caps on it yesterday, shut everything down, opened it up so it's not weeping out the weep hole. And we're losing that water. We slowed it down, but it's still seeping a little bit. According to the report we got this morning from the water department.
So we,
They reinstalled. the
yeah, it
old-
wasn't a new fire hydrant.
No,
We
they
dug it up, replumbed that. So
Yes.
that's the fire hydrant.
You can get the Teflon tape out.
Yeah, so the do a fire hydrant is $3,000. This repair kit for each gasket. There's like 4 gaskets in there, $15 a piece. So he's bringing everything that fire hydrant needs. And what we don't use, then he'll bill us for the parts.
Pretty good deal.
Oh, good. Yeah, you guys will expose it.
And the fire hydrant did get used by the fire department, and I talked to the chief yesterday and told him that that's not allowed. You guys to pull water from road and bridge.
They were pulling it out of the hydrant
Yes.
on
because-
our property. On county property.
Because per our conversation, they have access.
They have access to
at the
fill their fire.
firehouse through their meter. So
Right.
when they're pulling it from our meter, we're the ones getting metered on that.
And that's what had happened in this instance.
Yeah, and then consequently it caused the fire hydrant to leak. It hasn't been leaking. They didn't get it shut all the way off.
So just using it was the problem.
Yeah, it's wore out, but we're getting rebuilt, so we should have this stop Thursday. It should stop it.
And you're exposing it, you're digging it.
No, you don't have to dig it. You take the
Oh.
top of the fire hydrant apart. And then you take the middle part of the fire hydrant apart and you pull it, pull everything out. We have to shut the water off, but you pull it all out and they can rebuild it.
Good.
That's a good deal. So the fire problem they were drawing on it was because they didn't remember or wasn't told or what?
Well, we were told when that project was finished, Gary, when he was road supervisor, that we were only supposed to use that fire hydrant, road and bridge for emergency purposes only. So we don't use it.
But if you did, it wouldn't matter. It's off your meter.
It's off our meter. So the only ones that's supposed to use it is road and bridge or because it's on our water line.
So you ought to be able to use it if it's repaired, if you need. to
If
use
we need it,
then
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a fire hydrant. It is not a,
Fill up your water truck.
yeah,
Yeah, we don't fill our water trucks, no.
huh, well,
Not at the price that you pay going through that meter.
No,
Good.
so that'll be resolved.
I have a couple things. First of all, thanks from several citizens for cleaning out culverts.
You're welcome.
They were loaded with, as you know, but the only issue was that probably a note on some of those roads, and one of them is out there by us on 131, 33, whatever.
131.
As those blades are in the wintertime are gonna hit them anyway, it looks
I
like.
covered them.
Did you?
Yep, they
Enough
got
so
that
that it'll
much-
drag across.
They
the
got
top
that
of
much
them?
cover on top of the driveway culverts. We hauled material on
Okay,
top.
good. And then you put in some reflectors and all on that, which is good.
Yep.
They're gonna be able to be seen, so
Yes.
they shouldn't ever hit them.
They shouldn't hit them.
I know there's some that are on there that people have put up and they blew out the wooden ones that they had there, Mark. Are you fixing those or you haven't got any complaints? So,
Guys are not supposed to hit them.
I know.
So, but yeah, we fixed those 2 driveways on County Road 132.
And then there's others out on Birdmont or where'd you do it? There was another one you did. Anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah, the good news is thanks.
We covered them, so they shouldn't get hit in this winter.
But now if the snow takes them out, that's not
Yeah.
on us. If they physically hit them, that is.
No, I was, we need to be physically.
Freezer Lane is the driveway the guy was calling in.
Yeah, that was another one. that
It's
was-
fixed.
Yeah.
Yes, it's fixed.
And I did get a message sent out on the end of the airport that you would be getting a hold of him for the schedule on that road.
Okay.
Told him if he didn't hear to either call you or let me know.
Okay. And the only two pieces of equipment that's still in the shop is one truck and one grader. So we should be getting them back hopefully this month.
Any luck with the culvert up on? This road?
Yeah, we'll try to get to it next week. I did hire a new person today. Scott and I did to fulfill Dave's position, the one that passed away. So he'll start Monday.
Oh, good.
Really? That quick.
We had a question, you had a question on that culvert out here
It,
on the north side for the recycling.
I forgot.
I think one of our conversations, I think he was asking, is the recycling going to purchase that pipe, or are we purchasing that pipe, or? is
I
Road and
assume it
Bridge
would be
eating
the
that?
county, but
Okay. Because I think I've heard that you said Brian said it was not in his budget to purchase that pipe,
Well,
so.
Brian didn't have anything to do with it. That's.
So, yeah, because those culverts are cheap, because I'm already close to my end of my budget on my culverts this year already, just what we had to repair, and culverts are so pricey. And I've been calling around and everybody's in the same ballpark on the prices. So,
Yeah, we've got a recycle meeting, I think, next week. I can sure bring that up.
I think
I can get you a
Well, how-
price
Yeah, I was gonna say roughly how much you think it'll be.
at 15 by 30 and you wanted a 40-foot span,
30. I thought we
or 30
said
feet, we can put 30, you're looking at in between $8,000 for that pipe.
Well, I'll bring it up. I don't know. The biggest commitment we have out of the revenue for the recycling is salaries. It was up to me, I'd doze it in and we'd drive across it. Wouldn't be a culvert, but you insisted on having a
Well, I
culvert.
don't want to break our chip seal on that road. And then there's drainage right there too, high water, forget a thunderstorm. Because if we just put material in the borrow pit, no culvert, and we get high water, it's just gonna take you guys' material out and put it on the road or back in the ditch somewhere. It's not supposed to
Mostly
be.
the ditch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bring it up.
Okay, I'll get your price and I'll email you on the price of the culvert. I do have some used up there, but it's pretty big stuff.
Well, there's still revenue coming in, maybe it'll get cut. We'll see. Dump, both the dump and recycle.
Yeah, this is a landfill. That's not on Brian's budget
No,
by any stretch of the
That's right.
imagination, so. Okay, I will present that to them.
okay, I'll get your price this week.
What's the LLC called formally? The recycling, what are they called?
Well, it's
Is it
not a-
like a separate customer or separate contractor, or how's it handled with? the
No,
county?
it's not an LLC. It's just an entity of the county. It's Custer
So
County.
it's still
Recycling.
a Custer County overarching responsibilities.
Yes.
Okay, and it's not like a subcontractor working for us to
We
do,
accepted all that when we accepted that grant.
right,
So it's just another county department.
right.
And I guess got one more item to bring up. I know it wasn't on my list, but on the chipper we bought for wood chipping for cleaning alongside the roads when we trim trees, there has been some, like the towns wanting to borrow this machine. And I'm a little nervous about letting everybody run it because it cost the county $33,000 and some dollars for this chipper. If you three commissioners want to do like a community thing for the county, that's fine, but I would recommend that I'd like to have my county employees running this machine. And
Yeah, I would agree.
I thought that's what we were
Okay,
gonna do.
because I've had a
Wet
couple
more
of the
days.
people from the towns wanting to borrow, and I said, no, I said, I gotta go through the commissioners. And, but I have to have county employees running it.
If they, if they're paying a salary and that kind of thing. then-
Yeah, they gotta pay for the guy's salary.
Yeah, I think we need to probably, if there's a big push on that, to draft up a
Sure.
rental agreement and people rent it, including paying salary for a county employee if one's available.
The guys that said they would, I already asked. so.
33 grand, it'd be nice to
Use the darn
500
thing,
bucks a
keep a
day
hold
or
of it.
whatever. you
Sure.
know. Well, I
And
think,
Make the gas.
Thank you for bringing that up too, because I had talked to him about doing a Wetmore brush chipping day down there. And then we came up, I think, with the 20th.
The 20th, so Monday.
And I was gonna bring that in my deal and forgot to write it down. So if you gentlemen are good with that, I would like to post in Wetmore that if people can get their brush either to the community building, or if they had it at the end of their drive, at the county road, and then do a chipping project there on the 20th for kind of a fire mitigation, storm cleanup from that last storm as well.
so you would park the chipper at a location, have them bring stuff to it.
The community building would be a drop off location, and then if there were some, I think Kurt voiced that in some cases, it would be better to have them just have it at their, along the county road where they cleaned up there, and then they could just drive up to it, chip it and blow it right off on the ground there, rather than, if we do it at the community building, they gotta blow it in a truck and haul it off.
Right, well, whose property is that going to be going on to? Private property?
It would
or-
be the property where the branches, the limbs came from. And they would understand that. I mean, when we've chipped down there before, some people really like it. If not, then we blew it into the truck and we disposed of it that way.
I would be concerned about opening a can of worms about, now we gotta drag this thing all over the county to every slash pile at the end of every driveway.
Yeah.
We do it for Wetmore, guess what? We're gonna be expected to do it everywhere else. So I don't know, I would support a central collection point. Maybe there's someplace else besides the community center where we could have a chip pile, but I don't know, I'm just throwing out thoughts.
I think it's a good point, because you could have a community, if they had a rancher down there says, I'm willing to have a central dump place, as long as they want to rent it from us. That's our policy and pays for the thing. That's not a bad idea.
I could see 15 people piling up a
Sure.
little old pile. It would take
Can't
less
go
than 2
separately.
minutes to grind it. And I don't know.
Go to a central area. It's the right idea.
I could see people up here going, well, I need this pile of brush at the end of my driveway
Well, that's,
ground up, and then we get into a can of worms.
I think if they had a central place, they bring it, as far as community wise, and the truck and the chipper or whatever stays put.
Yeah, I would support that. Is it gonna be free to the public? And then if so, then this road and bridge paying the salary to,
Yeah,
And the
community,
operator
because
there.
it's the community, the people that pays road and bridge salary and helps maintain the roads. And help the community out for
no
once.
problem there. Yeah. I would support a central location for that.
I agree.
That's my,
Community. And if somebody else, a contractor, if somebody else wanted to make another reason to have it in a central place, that's on their dime, and somebody else's, and they're gonna pay, rent it, basically. It's a good idea.
this kind of fits in with what we've done in the past. I mean, they have brought it there, and then we as Road and Bridge at that time were burning piles, and we do a burn.
right.
The chipping works.
He's got some value. It's
Yes.
not plastic sacks.
Yeah, we do a cleanup for the Silver Cliff and West Cliff and do not charge them to go to the landfill with it. To me, it'd be another community service project.
Sure.
I'd like to come down and see that sometime. I haven't seen it yet.
In the shop,
All right.
Inside,
yes, they don't sit outside.
Well, I will if it's okay with you guys, then I'll get a couple flyers put out down there in Wetmore, and And I guess we won't have our PIO put it out because we don't have one right now.
You're the PI. Is that pull behind pickup?
Yes.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. So we're just gonna keep going on what we're
The
doing.
VSO back there is checking his watch 3 times. So
Well,
getting a little too chatty here.
Too chatty. I don't know who.
Fixing too many
I'm not
problems.
Sure who it was that messed up the clock and the
I
timing.
know, it was my fault, I
Thank you.
guess.
I'm not taking any blame for it. Good to see you. Take care.
Well, I would love to push on, but I am going to request a short break.
Yeah, unfortunately. Steve.
You kidding me?
Good,
Yeah.
good,
no.
good try.
I will reconvene this meeting. The time is now 10:34 a.m. on 6/7/22.
We will officially welcome you.
We have in our presence.
Good to see
Good to
you.
see you, sir. Mr. Candy, good to see you.
Yeah, there's times when we're calling people to come in and now we're 45 minutes behind schedule. I don't
Yeah, I
know
know.
how that happened.
People are not gonna be very happy. Yeah,
It didn't, so.
But I'll be quick. I mean, I don't have too much to report, kind of the same old. Getting to the end of the fiscal year for our big Veterans Trust Fund grant, so trying to push through some of those funds and reapply. So we can start spending more money next month for veterans. And just trying to shore up some additional fundings through Kirkpatrick Bank and Mount Carmel and continue with that partnership. So we blew through the money that they had given the office pretty quick. And helping vets, so. You guys have anything for me specifically? You guys want to know about the pulse of the veteran community in Custer County?
How's the pulse? Big given, we've been through Memorial Day and some recognition and all that. There's some action going on. with it.
Yeah, it's been pretty slow this week. So I don't know if people are still, if it's Memorial Day blues or what, but yeah, things have actually been relatively slow this week. I guess it's only Tuesday. So, but yeah, things are good. So into the summertime, the firewood demand has gone down. So it's one thing that I don't have to deal with as much. But I think that I have a pretty good jump on it for the coming year.
Maybe in preparation for this coming winter.
Yeah. So I'm not blindsided by it in October. So I think we should be fairly well stocked up on that front.
So with, speaking of firewood, I know you've been very involved in that. Do you split too, or?
It depends. Some of it I'll split, some of it I'll just buck and drop. Kind of depends on the specific veteran, but I spend a good amount of time splitting wood too. So.
Yeah, well, I've got access to a log splitter.
Okay.
I was thinking, if we were talking about, you heard a conversation about a central collection thing. If you had a big firewood weekend or day or weekday or whatever.
Yep.
And had the crew get a hold of the splitter and split a lot of wood. with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. 'Cause I have some rounds and some logs sitting in the back of the VSO office that I've cut, but I haven't even had time to buck them.
Just towed behind the vehicle, so.
Yeah. Okay.
if you need it, let me know and we'll
That will work.
make arrangements.
Show up with their gloves on or something.
Yeah, something. A little dirt on your jeans.
Come with 10 fingers and leave with 10 fingers.
Hopefully, right?
So yeah, give me a shout.
Okay. All right.
Any building issues? Any people complaining?
Building issues in terms
Your
of
office?
What do you mean? in
Meaning if anything, plumbing's working, everything's good.
Yeah.
No issues, people are coming and going, and privacy is okay.
Yeah. No, it's it's good over there now.
We've been pretty busy. We've got 151 people.
Yeah.
Appointments 40.
And that's probably, not entirely accurate either. Some of it I don't even keep
So if
track
we
of.
sign this, are we lying?
The phone calls sometimes are just a swag. I can't, if I had to record every phone call that came through there, I would. I don't know if the spreadsheet has enough spaces.
Well, I move that we accept his report anyway.
Might I make a suggestion first?
Plus
Go
or
ahead,
minus.
make it part of the
He
motion.
might want to go back and change the year from 2021 to
Yeah, I was good.
2022.
Am I living in the past
21.
again?
You're
Yeah,
living in
you're
the
living in the
Gosh
past.
darn it.
And this is for May.
Okay.
You have time to fix it.
Coming out to you running.
Who knows?
So I move that we approve it pending the modification.
But you gotta remember, this is going to the state government.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm not-
they're
I mean,
operating back in
Yeah, I'm
19.
not sure that they'll even catch that.
Oh my God, we're already getting stuff.
We're already there. Yeah.
I would second that.
All right.
That's great. That's great.
So I do have a motion on the floor to accept the report as amended. Any other discussion on that?
No, sir.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right. I will correct that date and get better at life.
Yeah, there you go.
I just didn't want you getting a nasty gram back from them or something.
No, I just deleted.
Thanks, sir. You want Dorothy to help you do that? You're gonna leave, she can fix it and sign it. She can make the change for you.
Okay, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Gotta go.
All right, sir.
All right. Thank you guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, be careful.
Extension. I mean, attention.
Morning, how are you?
Good morning.
See you again.
So,
I
this is
was
my
just-
first report.
That looks pretty good. Looks pretty good.
Really, since Guinevere left on the 27th, Jeremy McNeely, who is the extension agent in Fremont County, has been named our interim agent by Kurt Jones, who is our regional director. So really, all extension concerns are going to be directed to that office. So like if someone calls and they need like plant identification or anything like that, interpretation of water, soil, or forage testing kits, just direct them to Fremont County for right now. So all the weed spraying reimbursements are getting turned into Dorothy, and then the payment goes through the county system.
Do you see those at all, or do they contact Dorothy?
They just go right to Dorothy. So
We've got some issues in that area.
yeah.
We don't have any money. So I'm not sure. Dorothy said in on the week board meeting, so there's probably not gonna be much done in the area of cost share program this year,
Okay.
just in case you get phone calls. But
Okay. Yeah, I was just directed to just send them down here to Dorothy. So
So we probably, do you think we want to send something out to the vendors that the community goes to? And just let them know when,
yeah, we better have that discussion next week for sure.
and then you can still get your water, soil, and forage testing kits upstairs, but you need help interpreting your results. Fremont County.
Don't call you.
Don't call me.
A little out of your wheelhouse.
Yep, just a little bit.
You could act like you know, just, that looks good.
Yeah, I mean, I got a degree in wildlife and natural resources, but right now I'm really just trying to get a better understanding of our budget and our books. Some stuff got left unfinished when she left, so I'm trying to straighten those out and everything like that. So
Did she formally leave? Is she really gone?
yes, she did start her
She
job.
had several parties.
Yes. So, as far as 4-H goes, we had a float in the Memorial Day parade, and we plan on being in the 4th of July and the rodeo parades. We nominated 6 steers by 4 exhibitors, 1 goat by 1 exhibitor, 12 hogs by 5 exhibitors, and 15 lambs by 4 exhibitors to the Colorado State Fair. So we should have a really good representation there in our livestock department. Still trying to tie up some loose ends for fair, which is the 19th through the 16th of July. I encourage you all to come out and support our 4-Hers and FFAers. I'm really just trying to get those judge contracts done. It came to my attention that they were not sent out like they were supposed to be back in May. So. And then.
Fair board does that.
Yeah, last year they decided that they wanted the office to hire judges. And so that got put on us, and then it was never finished. So that's something I need to finish now.
I think that's fair board job.
It technically is. So after they made that decision, we got direction from the state saying that you are not to hire judges. So now we need to transfer it back to the fair board's responsibility. So Custer County Kids Council Family Fun Day is this Saturday, the 11th. 4-H is going to have some carnival games and animals there, and then some more information about our program. Our fair entries are due the 15th, so then I'll know how many animals and projects and stuff like that is actually going to be at our county fair. And then our next fair board meeting is June 14th. So
Where's the family fun day gonna be?
it's at the Memorial Park. So some people call it Westcliff Park, some people call it Memorial Park. So it was pretty fun last year, and there was a good turnout. So
Yeah, good. Are you feeling overwhelmed?
slightly, but
Not hitting the panic button yet.
Not yet.
Good, good. Well,
We're in that weird period where I can't do a whole lot in preparation for fair because I've already done what I can without knowing exactly how many kids are in what projects and stuff like that. So
It keeps going.
it keeps going, yeah. Once the 15th comes, then it's real deadline, so.
well, I know Guinevere was adamant about what the extension office job was, what the fair board's job is. You need to hold the line on that so you don't get overwhelmed.
Yeah. And I'm
She's
real
doing a pretty
hopeful-
good job because I was there watching. Wendy listened to you.
Yeah, I'm real hopeful with this new fair board, so, yeah.
Okay, very good.
You helped get us on time almost. You helped us not get eaten up by Jackie behind us.
Yeah, there we go.
It's only 30 minutes late now.
You need anything from us to support you while you're up there by yourself?
I don't think so right now. I mean, just support, and understanding that I will need to close the office sometimes to do 4-H events, and I do have doctor's appointments, so. But other than that, it's kind of a unavoidable thing right now, so.
I'm assuming you put a sign on your door.
Yep, got that little whiteboard that I always write
Don't
a
call
sign
me,
on.
call this number.
So,
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I think you did it.
Give us a shout.
okay, I will.
Very good. Thank you. See you
We'll
later.
see you.
See you later.
Okay,
Good morning.
this is gonna be quick.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm gonna wait for, I'm gonna help
Sounds like
JD.
He's out in the hallway.
Did you hear the applause when Braden mentioned everybody's happy you were retiring?
They applauded.
Yeah.
Could you write down their names so I can see them later?
I believe he finished that statement with, "We are happy for." her."
Yeah.
I know where he hangs out. I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
These do not go into effect until the 17th.
Wow, that represents some work, doesn't it?
Nice.
I understand you need a new printer now,
I do?
just because of the sheer number of copies. you
No, we need to start planting trees. Okay,
Are we
you're
good?
good. You're good.
Okay,
If you're
thank you.
not, I'll give you a call.
Okay, awesome.
Well, this document was a big topic of conversation at the CCI conference and on the Mountain Region meeting.
With the whole document or just
The
the
fact that we did it.
short-term rentals?
We're light years ahead, Jackie, of most of the counties.
Oh,
I just saw it. I have no idea. I didn't even look.
oh, Carlin,
That's just one that didn't happen. in
what
mine.
page is that?
That is on page, well, it would be after page. Yeah, after page 34.
Look on after page 34.
So
I
we
might
got a
have to go
duplicate,
grab
I
'em
think, is
back.
all right. And unfortunately, look what's on the back side of
I
it.
don't have one.
34
I don't have one in mind. either.
You're the only one that got it.
Wow.
That way
Everything's,
you get a
everything's
prize.
fine in this
Because
one.
you got the modification.
Instead of
That's like
getting
getting a, what are you getting, a cake? You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something.
The
I'll get
baby.
you.
Yeah.
Well, you
If
have to,
everybody do that, what did you get?
yeah, we better
This
check it.
one's fine.
So you don't have a double set of
No,
title page. And
No,
no. Is it a hard copy?
problem is, Jack, well, look on the back side of that page right
So
there.
they got the table of contents.
Yeah,
This has to go up front.
I think there is one up front, Jackie. Look and see. If there is, we'll just rip
This
it.
one's here is perfect.
And
Thank
you
you.
have the signatures on the back of the page 4.
See, it didn't
Oh,
come
it
out
didn't.
right.
Okay.
No. Okay, well,
No problem. Well, thank you.
Mine's
very
good.
much.
This one's perfect.
you're losing yours.
This is,
Yeah.
this is
I'll bring you
beautiful.
another one.
Yours is that way?
And
She's
uh,
gonna steal mine to give to you.
Oh,
I'll bring you one.
no big deal. No big deal.
Okay, so that gentleman that just walked in has purchased a hanger from Miss Legree. Jeannie Legree. So,
One of the hangers.
so that had a structure on it. So the structure is none of our business because that's a private transaction. The paperwork is being for the structure lease, and I got a note from Jeannie saying we're good to go. So now I need this chairman to sign this lease, please.
Was that their old hangar or their new?
Number 12. It's the largest one.
It's the new one he built.
Could we change the wording from county to county?
Okay, change it on your thing there, because he already signed it. That's weird. Well, this is just a mess up today. Can I have a sticky note that's extremely large?
Here. She's got it. Oh, you got it. Want that
Oh,
one?
yeah.
That's even better.
Yeah, I see that.
Taking out a gecko.
Engine has a few misspellings as well, so.
I'll let you look at that, make sure that change looks good enough to you on for county instead of county.
Little particular, aren't
So
we?
who is typing?
These digits, they also choke.
So this is the signature page of another document, right?
Correct. A huge.
That's on the contract.
So see who this person was, James. Audette, huh? Wow, well, that's very cool. I'm glad.
He just walked in here.
So,
He's
Yeah, that was him.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So
I bet she's excited to get that done, huh, Jackie?
Yes, it was a good move.
Mhm. The other hanger.
have a motion on this.
I would move we approve the signing the lease with Mr. Audette for lot 12.
Okay, I have a motion to.
Second it.
approve the lease in a second. For lot 12 with Mr. Audette. Any discussion?
This was all.
Hearing none.
Who made that motion?
I did.
Good,
Those in favor
Do we do
of
20?
signing the lease
Huh?
signify by saying aye.
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 Board motion. It's always a board motion. I'm just asking the process.
No, it's never, you don't have to have a board motion.
No.
It's just that usually I catch one of you
Right.
when,
Full
yeah.
board agreeing.
no. So I usually just catch whoever the chairman is. And so we're good.
And
Okay.
Are we going, we did vote.
Yeah, but it really,
Oh,
actually,
We didn't have to.
Yeah.
It's just,
but it didn't, you didn't have to, but
Right.
since it's part of my
She's asking
staff
if we're gonna
meeting,
record that.
no,
Yeah,
it's no big deal.
Kelly needs to record
you don't record the lease.
Yeah,
You do.
she's
Kelly.
gonna have to
So you're
record
gonna
it.
get that.
Do you want it right now?
No, I just, if
Okay.
you weren't gonna record it, I wanted a copy of it.
No,
So
I'm
you
gonna,
can
it
just
needs
give it-
recorded, because you need to test it.
Oh, okay.
Oops.
That
Oh.
was rude. Sorry, I made you bend over at your age.
Jackie, is the plan still to transition this responsibility to the airport?
No,
That change?
not yet.
No, but I'm saying.
Plan is
Yeah,
to
Still
do it.
plan
plan.
is.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Okay, so the only thing I have is my little report I did. And as you know, Braden sent out the help wanted to the newspapers. I'm sure he said that in his own meeting for the position. And then, of course, Carlin was hired.
Be excited about that opportunity.
I am, but I'm a little concerned, but we'll see.
Yeah, I say she is excited about it.
She
Yeah.
is, yes, and we'll see. I think that it's a learning experience and it takes a little while to grasp because, and so,
She there now?
yes, and she's at this point in time, if you can just get down the permitting, you know, then we move on. But that's the major part of the permitting. Is it? So as you notice, we're a little less, last year at this time, during this month, we already had 23 septics and we only have 17. The dwellings this month were 15 compared to 17 at this time last year. Septic permits year to date, that's January to May, we're 70 and we're at 48. Dwellings are 61 and 45. Non-dwellings, of course, are the accessory structures. So total permits is 141 last year to date, and this year is 121. So last month I did 12 septic inspections, had 9 special conferences and 3 compliance inspections and 1 violation review. So they're fairly on track for that.
So this is year to date.
The bottom one is year to date, yes.
And the 141 is at the closeout of 21 or at the same time this year?
The same time last year.
Okay, good. So we're tracking pretty much.
Yeah, and then if you notice the money, so January through May, the total income of last year was 147,551.30, and we're up to 141,932.40. So we're doing pretty good. Now that septic surcharge that you see there, for every septic that is permitted in the office, 20 of it goes to the state. $20 of the $250 goes to the state. And so that's a quarterly payment that we make to the state. So we have to track those, and the system that we use tracks them for us. So we're pretty good. Everything seems to be on track. So I don't have no issues, and I'm good. Are you good?
Me.
That's a personal question.
Any question?
Your violation review, you said you had one.
Yeah.
That one, okay.
Yeah, and so I had another one today that got turned in, but this will require a deputy to go with. So that's usually what happens is we got something going on out in the neighborhood, and so I call a deputy to go. So we got one today that will require a deputy to come with.
What'd you lose?
I was wondering how many days, this is June, so 5 would be 150, and the day is 6, so 161 days. So you're averaging over one zoning permit a day.
Correct.
And other income, can you just speak to that a little?
Other
Sure,
income is like,
over double, so that's cool.
yeah, other income would be like variances, the toilet fee.
STR included in that.
But remember, we had a moratorium on STR, so after the 17th, we'll start seeing that even get higher.
You're still over 100% increase on that, so.
Yeah.
Good.
So what did CTSI think?
Well, we had a regional mountain region meeting, and we, almost every county reported on the status of their short-term rentals. One county said they don't have any ordinances, they haven't addressed it, and she said Custer County is, believe me, we're gonna model our county after what Custer County's done.
Well, that was
That was
nice.
out-
We're really ahead of all,
That gal
including
sitting
the
on that
big
far side.
Aspens, you know.
She's from Eagle County.
We're just now trying to get straight out into the cities. That's the problem.
They had a special breakout during one of those other meetings as well.
Yeah.
on short-term rentals. And I sat in on that one, and there were some that jumped in. Some of the bigger counties that kind of let it get out of hand before they tried to get a handle on it, so they're behind the curve on it. A couple of counties during that meeting, 2 or 3 actually, are just getting started and looking at things, so.
Yeah, one of them brought up really odd. They don't understand the value of what they are. They think they can probably open it up for 2 months a year only and let them rent for 2 months. Well, nobody's gonna wanna buy a house, fix it up, make it a short-term rental, and all they can do is rent it for a tenth of the year, so they're not thinking, haven't thought it through. In other words, they don't know exactly what they're doing yet.
Yeah, it was interesting. We're in good shape by comparison, really. There was one county that's under a moratorium. Didn't they say for a year they were gonna be under a moratorium?
Yeah.
They're trying to get a handle on it, so.
Well, and then probably since Custer County has been in the moratorium, we have 5 people that are waiting in line. So I think that a lot of times too, that people come up here and would like to have a home. So this is a way that they can rent their home and pay for it. But I think another good thing is that an agent or another thing was the density.
Right.
Because you don't want such an influx in one area, and that's what we're seeing right
Control where
now.
you're in.
We spoke about that.
Yeah, and that reminds me, we had like 84 before we started this policy, and now we've got 50. What's the number?
Well,
we
that
have
was a
now?
little confusing too, because on the VRBO site, it was picking up everything that was in Crestone.
That's why.
So anything over the mountains that was being
Counted
short
against
term
us.
was coming over on our side. So we figured out that we had to actually look Cody Park
The actual address.
at the actual address and say, no, that's not here.
I know some of the bigger counties, of course, they have a lot more. They actually have a software program they're using to track and find short-term rentals, but I don't know.
Surfing the net.
Yeah, that's exactly their companies. I get 4 or 5 of them in the last year that wanted so much money to track them. Well, that's a job that when you're downtime at the clerks, at my clerk can say, I'll tell her, go on the VRBO site and start seeing who we don't have.
What Custer County addresses are.
Yeah, I came away feeling pretty good, even though it's been a torturous process for us.
We got a good one.
Relatively speaking, comparing against other counties, I think we're in a good position.
Yeah, probably learned a lot of lessons, but you can't ever look at regs and say you got it, because you got to step out of that box and say, what in these regs can I mess with? And we noticed that we didn't have a clear cut, if you're denied, that you can automatically reapply. And so I think that got settled, but who would have thunk it?
Right.
Yeah, and I think I made that comment during that session that, we had the moratorium to address some issues that we found this last year, but
Yeah, they didn't
moving
understand.
forward, we're sure to find more
Right.
issues. as we go ahead, but-
But I think that basically, because I had set the last workshop up for 2 days and we got it done in a day. But what's helpful is to get all the issues already in the document and then have the planning commission discuss it instead of reinventing the issues.
Yeah, not a lot of surprise questions.
Okay, super.
So the moratorium lifts on the 17th?
On the 17th, and that's when this becomes effective.
Well, it does.
And then we changed it that everyone can pay their payment to renew this year when they're coming up. But the following year in 2024, that payment will be due by January 31st. I wish that we had recognized that during that first meeting, because it's just so hard to keep track of.
Who's paid?
So you also you have a 30-day grace period. You have to get that money in But we were already getting money in for the renewal and they're not even due, but I think people are thinking, it's on my mind, I'm gonna pay it.
200 to renew.
Yes.
I think we're in good shape.
Okay, so I think I'll stay here and poke JD.
Good idea.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
If you guys don't want these.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
Good, thanks. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Okay, well,
Real quick, before we get to you, I'm gonna make sure that we don't have any unfinished business to address.
Oh,
Just to make sure to keep everything on track.
you're exactly right. I was thinking staff report still.
So that finishes up our staff reports. So any unfinished business from you, sir?
Not from me.
None from myself either. So now we will go to the new business. And JD, you are up with consideration of adding a part-time position.
right, I'm the hemorrhoid that's back. We decided to make Jackie's position stay like it was, but that didn't do anything for me and I still need help. So what I've got, Jackie put this first page together, and this just shows the permits that were issued for 2020 and 2021. If you go on the bottom, total zoning permits, 355 and 373. My office has to go out to every one of those at least once to measure, get all this stuff, put it in the system. We go back and, they're only 3/4 of the way done. So now we got to go back a second time.
What's the
A third
deadline?
time.
When do you have to have them done by?
Well, if it was built, January 1st is our deadline. If it was, we go January 1st to January 1st. So if it was started after January 1st of 2021, we have to have it looked at by January 1st, 2022.
Okay.
So we basically have a year. Now we have to pick it up as what's done, because sometimes only 50% done, so it goes in the system, it's 50% done. Sometimes they're 75. But we've got ones where, because the way our zoning resolution is written, or at least used to be written, you can finish the outside, leave the inside. So we have people that it's been 10, 12 years, they don't have the inside done. So we've been going to these properties every year for 10, 12 years. Gets a
But we
little old,
corrected
but
that, right?
yeah, I think we've solved a lot of that, but yeah. But we still have some that were under that we're still going back to. So, and then the second page shows 74 sales from 2021 and 2022 that we still need to visit. The reason we visit sales is when a property sells, we're going to use that sale to value other properties. So we want to make sure that we have all of our inventory correct on that. And you'd be surprised how many times, again, when we went out there, it was an unfinished basement, the homeowner, the contractor said, yeah, it's going to be unfinished. Well, now when it sells, you go out there and the whole basement's finished, because guess what? 5 years later, they decided to finish the basement. We know nothing about it. So we want to make sure we have everything correct so that we can use that sale to value everything else. So we still have 74 of those that we have to go out. And then we have 450 to 500 open permits, including Westcliff and Silvercliff, because you saw this is just the county. We also do Westcliff and Silvercliff. Now, those open permits are ones where, like I said, some of them we've been to several times, some of them we haven't been to yet. But so I guess my point is, we were keeping up pretty good till the last 2 years.
So are those 450 dwellings?
No,
Those are.
some are houses, some are garages, some are hangars, some are
Okay.
storage units,
You
some
said
are sheds.
Oh, it's including Westcliff, so that's
Yeah.
everything in the county.
Everything in the county.
All right.
Right, but it's, again, if it's a shed, we gotta go look. If it's a commercial
Sure.
building, we gotta go look. So,
Right.
so it includes San Isabel, Wetmore, everywhere.
And that's yet to go.
That's yet to go. Now, we don't have to get to every one of those by January, but because some of them, if she just issues a permit yesterday, by January, they may not have enough done. Or if she issues a permit in November, obviously by January 1st, they're not gonna have enough done for us to worry about, but.
And how do you know?
Well,
How do you know they're not done?
we try to go out and look at them, plus we try to call or email and say,
So there's no
much they're
obligation on the owner's part to give you.
no, it
or
would be,
contractor
it would be
part.
nice. One thing that we do a lot is when you do your compliance, that's what I'm for. When she does, they'll call and want a compliance inspection, then we know it's pretty much done. But what we try to do is, like, I'm gonna pick, let's say Rosita, where Jackie and I live. If we're gonna be out in Rosita, we take a bunch of files out there. And while we're out there, we try to look at all of them out there and just then, oh, okay, this one is done now, or it's far enough we can put it on, or, because, you know, we'll go out there and they'll have everything done but the baseboard. I don't care. To me, that's done, you know? So maybe they're not ready for compliance, but we're putting them on as 100%. So we do try
So
to
you
get
don't
to them
have to
all.
wait for a certificate of occupancy.
You guys don't issue a
I
certificate
know,
of
but,
occupancy.
there's a closeout like on the electric.
Right, that's the compliance inspection.
Okay, that's all right.
If we know that, Kristen goes with her, it works out well because they can both do it at the same time and knock it out, but
Okay.
So can I add to
Of
JD's
course.
thing, please?
Yes.
Every permit that we generate, not septics, but every structural permit that we generate in our office, we make a copy of, and we have a file for the assessor. And most of the time, every day, Kristen will come down and we're averaging at least one permit a day. Sometimes she comes down there and we have 6 more. So it's a constant flow of activity between our 2 offices, because if we generate a permit, it has to be looked at by upstairs. Not only does Kristen look at the structure, but she also will look at the permit to make sure that downstairs we captured all the square footage. And that has helped a lot, because not every house is rectangle or square, and there's a lot of angles, and angles are really hard to figure, or we might miss a whole mud room or something on the permit. So she'll come down and tell us, hey, you missed 500 square feet of this home when you were adding it up.
or they'll tell you it's an unfinished basement, and when we go out there, it's a finished. basement.
So it is cooperative between the 2 offices, but when you got one person trying to capture all the structures that are being built the last 2 years, and then as a county on a whole, this is where the money is mostly generated, through property tax. So if you got a home that hasn't been visited and they're living in it, which you're not supposed to without a compliance inspection, then, but we haven't stopped them, because we'd have to do a cease and
It's
desist on
happening all
that.
the time.
It's happening constantly. The new fad right now is to get a house with a basement, finish the basement, and then not finish the upstairs. We have one of those for sale right now. But Kristen is responsible for getting all of this, plus over checking the work. And it is so overwhelming down in our office that the burden of our office is going upstairs to her. So that's how come the other day when we talked about a part-time person, and it was just dropped that next year it would be revisited. It was like, no, that can't be right, because you have to, in my mind, see where you're getting this dollars to go in the general fund to help support all these other offices and all the other things that we do. So I didn't think it was a bad idea to revisit this, and it's not fair for one employee to feel like she has this huge weight on her either.
She, the other day I had to laugh. She came in, she said, I went out and looked at 4 houses and I came back and they gave me 6 new permits. I said, well, yeah, I said, all we can do is all we can do. We pick them up as soon as we can, you know, that's all you can
That's
do.
good.
So.
Let me make a comment, and I'll get to you, Tom. Kind of in response to what you said there, that, you know, we kind of dropped it. Part of that in my mind was probably because during that conversation, JD said he was looking at coming to us next year in the budget to add that position next year, which kind of defaults me to he would be able to make it through this year, and he was planning on coming next year. And that's sort of speaking to that, that's kind of my mindset on that.
Right. And that was kind of where I was coming from, but after talking with Kristen, she said, man, I need the help now, so.
Fair enough.
I told her, wear them out.
So do you have the budget now, Hannah?
Probably not. That's my next page, the
Let me
third and
have,
final page.
Let me let Tom.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you,
sorry.
Chairman, I appreciate it. So a couple of things. I was not aware of this, but I'm guessing that the assessor's services are the only county services we provide to the county, West Cliff and Silver. I didn't know they don't have a zoning officer, huh?
They have a zoning officer, they do their own building
I mean,
permits.
assessor.
No, I'm the assessor for
all
the
that.
county. I do the whole county.
Interesting.
Now, the other office that might be is the sheriff. Because I think the sheriff does what's going to Silver Cliff. But
Yeah,
that's by a special agreement between you guys, intergovernmental agreement or whatever. I'm required by statute to do the entire county.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, okay. Who would, in your office, would this halftime person be doing all this that we're talking about, or would Kristen continue? To do
Kristen
that
would
and have-
continue.
Okay.
My
And the
thought
other
is
one's
to.
data collection.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, I'm calling it data collection. They would go out with Kristen. They would help her hold the tape. They would fill out paperwork. They would come back. They would draw, because we have to draw out the houses and pictures and stuff. They could print the pictures, do that while Kristen's putting all the information in the computer. So the other thing that they could do, if we do get caught up and I have them, is, and I don't know how Jackie feels, I'm sure there's some construction out there that we know nothing about.
Wow.
Yeah, we try, and we catch those too when we turn them into her. But I would really like to have somebody that I could say, okay, just go drive whatever subdivision. Take all the files and go drive it and see if there's anything we don't know about, because, and this, well, and part of the problem in this county, as you guys know, is log gates. You know, somebody's up in the trees behind the log gate. You can't do much about it. And even aerial photos don't show much because it's so heavily treed. So we try to catch those, but I'd like to be able to send them out and do that. But right now it's just about getting caught up and being caught up.
And then my third thing, a little off topic here, but we've already talked about it, these compliance inspections. I know we don't have a certificate of occupancy process,
But it is,
but the compliance inspection serves in place of that.
when you do
correct?
zoning, that's what it's called.
Works pretty well.
So can somebody literally move in and live in a house before their compliance inspection?
Yes, that's what's happening, but in our.
Can they though? Should?
They're not supposed
Okay,
to.
that's what I'm getting at.
Not allowed.
It's disallowed, but they're doing it.
Correct.
Okay, and then my final question, if I may, sir,
Go ahead.
is one residence per parcel, according to this. And is that the assessor's office or the planning and zoning office to enforce that?
But there's a lot of things, you know, like if, in this small of a county, like a lot of times the planning and zoning wouldn't even be housed. You know, they have their own buildings in the larger counties. But in this county, it works out really well because we work so well with the assessor's office, because you can go to Kelly's office and record a land transaction. Then it goes upstairs to JD's office to get it on the maps and what he does with it. But if it's illegal, what they have done, then they bring it down and say, we have an illegal lot line, or we have an illegal this. So we work together in partnership, but we also need to figure all the extra duties that as a county have and work together, different departments, that we share a lot of responsibilities to look out for not only the county, but each other's offices. And when you have someone in your office that is continually getting bombarded, there's got to be a solution, because this is where a lot of the money's generated. And then it's also, since JD went online, it was a good thing, but it was also a bad thing. Because I can look at my property and say, well, JD's charging me $2,000 more than the neighbor, and he has a better home. So when you get down to it, maybe JD didn't have time to go out there and he didn't know that the basement was finished or something. So this is actually going to make it more fair across the board for the property taxpayers of this county also. And so to me, it's an easy decision. It's not going to cost much money, and I think the benefits will outweigh it substantially.
And I will say, working with the zoning office, as hard as she is to work with, working with the zoning office and the changes that have been made to the zoning resolution have really helped because the compliance inspection does help if people follow it, do it right. It does help us to know it's done. We can just go out once instead of having to go out 2 or 3 times. The fact that they can't be living in it for 10 years now while they finish the inside and we don't have to go back 10 times. That's made a big difference. And we've tried real hard to help each other. But yeah, I mean, you're trying to measure a stucco house by yourself and the tape keeps falling off. You know, it's just with 2 people, you can do the job more than, you know, 1 person doing it, 2 people could do it more than twice as fast. So with 2 people, I can look at 3 houses in the time 1 person can look at 1, just about.
So if I could finish up on this multiple residences per parcel. Is that something you look for when your office goes out or not?
Well,
People living above a garage, people living in a barn.
oh, yeah, yeah.
So you tag team.
The Amish guy living in the, she had, well, I should.
In the hayloft?
Forget I said the.
So I personally know we've got numerous incidents of that happening.
Yeah, if we find it, we report it. There was one just last week. The guy, Kristen said, oh, it looks like you got somebody, oh, well, I was hoping you weren't gonna look in there, he told her.
Yeah.
She said, well, I need to see the building and there's people living in there. So, you know.
So
it's-
it gets tag team, and it seems like you can't have a bunkhouse without a dwelling. But you can't have a bunkhouse that has a kitchen facility in it. And then you can have bedrooms. Well, now what we're doing is we're building a bunkhouse, and then after Jackie leaves, then we put in the kitchen. And that's always been going on. And so you have to go by someone's word and stuff, but in the same sense, there's a lot of tag teaming that we do between the 2 offices so that we make sure that, like, if JD has a problem, and he does a lot, he'll come
Rude.
down and he'll say, I won't take a permit until you have an address. Who gives the addresses is JD. Well, it was becoming overwhelming up there for Jen. So now we got a process that everyone has to have an address and it's $25. We worked it out between the both of us that we could do something like that. Also, I years ago went up and said to JD, tell me what in our zoning resolution is causing you grief. And I'll see if the planning commission agrees to change it. And that's how you work as a team so that not everyone's overwhelmed. And that's basically why I'm sitting here, because I recognize what's going on upstairs.
Yeah. And I'll say this, I appreciate, we have worked well together. I think we've done a lot of things that have made changes for the better.
Yes.
Both of us, yeah.
I appreciate she sees all your faults. And
Yeah, I do too. There's a lot of them, but.
quick question for me, if I
Sure.
may. You did digitize all of your maps. I think
Yes.
Chris is pretty well done with that.
Yes, yes.
So, does that free him up some?
A little bit, yeah.
So,
We're still trying to get the mineral rights digitized. We've got all the parcels, all the ownership, all that done. We're still working on mineral rights, and then we're still finding some little errors that we're fixing. But yeah, it does free them up a little bit. And we talked about that's part of how I was gonna try to get done through the rest of the year was I was gonna have Chris go out once in a while. I was gonna try to let some things sit and go out, and maybe even have Jen go out. But it would sure be nice if we had someone that was doing it. So, yeah. So then my final page was the cost. If you're, oh, not today.
So that you can get to the cost. Let me ask a couple questions. I was gonna ask about the cartographer, because I did talk to Chris separately too.
Okay.
Because he's leaving.
Right.
New position, have any mention of helping do this
Right.
is some part of the description maybe,
Right.
because he wasn't doing it initially.
No, he wasn't.
Okay, so that would account for some of the budget to help do this.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we've talked about it, Chris and I, and
Okay.
well, like when we went to San Isabel, I took Kristen and I went, and I took him with us because he'd never been over there. And it helped him with the mapping to get out and see some of these areas he hasn't
So
seen.
it would help then to augment this halftime position, basically.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, so just as an aside. So where does the budget come from? And I think that's the next thing that Kevin was pointing out, or you were gonna bring up.
Yeah.
Can you get through this year? Is there budget there somewhere? Do you have a place that it's gonna come from? Have you talked to anybody about options here?
No, I have nothing in there. So I told Braden I might have 1,000 or 2,000 left at the end of the year. It all depends. It looks like I have a lot now because I haven't had any of my conferences. Nobody's gotten to training, but that's all gonna happen in the summer. But I'm thinking maybe I'll have 1,000, 2,000 left over. You can see on here, how I did it was, it would be halftime, 20 hours per week at 17 hours per hour. If you follow down, I would start them, if this is approved, I would start them August 1st or in August. So it'd be 5 months. So I figured out it'd be about $7,300 and then 500 and some for, so the whole thing would be under $7,900 for the rest of the year. I could probably, like I say, absorb 1,000 or 2,000 of that. So I'd be looking at needing 6,000, 6,500, something like that for the rest of the year. And then of course at budget time, I would budget for it. And then we could have that discussion about whether we have it for next year or not. And if not, and we had to cut it, I hope not, but if we did, at least I would have had some this year for 5 months and gotten caught up.
Personally, I believe you need it personally.
Yeah.
And it should be added to this, and we'll have that
Yeah.
big budget discussion. The issue is how do we get from here to there?
Right.
And part of it would be, we're gonna have to have a mid-year review with everybody
Sure.
and where they stand anyway.
Sure.
I mean, you're not going to the conferences that right now.
You're right. they'll
Other
be in
people
there.
may have some
Right.
money too, but we would have. to
Yeah,
do
my
that.
conferences are coming up.
So
they
you
don't
want to
show up
hire
with-
somebody by 1 August. So
If
we've got-
possible.
We've got a month to work this out.
Right. Right.
That's sort of what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I just figured, by the time you run the ad for a couple of weeks and you
Yeah.
interview and you do references, and then if they have to give a couple of weeks, it takes a good month or longer to get somebody hired, that. So I thought if I started the middle of this month, August 1st was realistic.
Right.
But,
And you haven't talked to Brayden about it yet.
well, just a tiny bit out in the hall, we talked about it.
Jackie must have just done.
Oh, and I told him I thought I had 1,000 to 2,000 in my budget possibly.
Okay.
But so I would still probably need 6,000, 6,500, something like that. And that's all I had conversation with Braden. I didn't have in depth, just
Got it. Thanks.
My
Jackie.
turn?
Yes. ma'am.
So, when Kayla quit, Kayla had, gained in wages, and Carlin had to start back at the bottom of the totem pole. Kayla, I believe, was taking family insurance, and Carlin's taking single insurance. So right now, Braden's going to tell you how much money you saved in that position. So you could use that money, plus we just got through saying how much money is going into the general fund from my office, and that money is be a couple $1,000s, could be scooted over.
Money
But
that you're
let's
taking
see.
in as part of this.
Yeah, so let's see how much money the zoning office.
Yeah, that's, in order for us to make a decision, we're gonna have to know what, we can't
Because
vote on
last-
it unless we know.
Last
where-
time when we got vehicles, I had a $40,000 uptick in my budget. So let's see how much I have. Uptick is I got rid of 2 people.
Right.
And we're waiting for Braden.
Thank you, Mr. Flower has a.
Well, that's where I was gonna try to direct the conversation to about where the salary comes from. It's unbudgeted, obviously.
So is Braden now smoking the keyboard back there? Well, that's good.
Well, so we can keep moving. I would move that we authorize hiring a part-time employee for the assessor's office, not to exceed 434 hours between August 1 and the end of the year.
Or wait, maybe it ought to be the budget though, you might thought, because the hours are gonna be different.
He's
It
requesting
would-
433 hours.
Yeah, 433 hours. Well, I guess it would come out the same as
Yeah, it
what
should
he's
come out
asking. It
the
should
same
come
either
out
way.
to $7,900.
Yeah, either way.
Not to exceed that.
So the one thing that I would share, because it's.
I'll second that so we can discuss it and get it.
Okay. Yes, sir.
The one thing that I would share, just because it's going to take a minute to calculate what that would look like, is that I do think in this case, even if there wasn't a substantial amount or the amount to cover the entirety of it from Jackie's office, which would come from her salary and from her insurance, which I think, there is some flux there regarding filling her position too, that we would have it in the general fund balance in order to take care of that.
And between Kayla's position and hers and all that, there's gonna be a block of money of some kind.
We got the money, honey.
Yeah.
Initially, I thought that maybe Jackie was talking about funding your new person for you, but it didn't end up that way.
No,
Yeah, it sounds like we have the money this year. Budget, we'll find out.
right, and in a budget, we'll find out. That's kind of where I'm coming from.
Okay, do we have other discussion on that? You good?
Yeah.
Anything else from anyone out here? Not seeing that.
And you will take care of advertising for the position?
Yeah, I'll write an ad. I'll send it to Braden wherever he went to look
You
at
got
it.
it partially done, don't you?
Yeah, I have it partially done, almost completely done because I started that already. So yeah, I'll finish it up. I'll send it to Braden for approval and then I'll try and get it in the papers. If it's approved, I'll try and get it in the papers next week or something.
Cartographer too.
Not yet, because I'm not sure when Chris is leaving.
And so you'll notify us if and when you hire somebody?
For Chris's job?
No.
Oh, this job? Yeah, of course, yes. Yeah, I'll notify you and then also when Chris leaves. Yeah.
Okay, so basically your motion is as presented here, correct? You said 433 hours.
Correct, it's $17.
Okay. So those in favor of authorizing JD to hire a part-time worker for his department for 433.35 hours at $17 an hour, signify by saying aye.
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 Sure. Get there before you did.
Thank you. No, I was waiting on that.
I could tell.
Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, you bet. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I think it will. And that 7,900 is probably a worst case because you know how it is in November and December with the holidays. So they might be working a few less.
Not guaranteed 20 hours a week. You'll kind of.
I'm gonna
that can
try, but
change.
yeah, but I mean, if I haven't looked at the calendar, if the person can only work Tuesdays and Wednesdays and we're closed on a Tuesday or Wednesday due to a holiday, then
So the 20 hours is max.
it's max,
Could be under.
20 hours max, yeah. Thank you,
Sir,
gentlemen. I appreciate it. Good to see you guys.
Thanks,
Thanks, Jack.
JD. You're doing God's work.
Well, I wish more people thought that. Because they sure don't want to hear it when they get a bill.
Yeah.
No, they don't. I don't either. We got an executive session still, right?
We do.
Okay.
Okay, any other new business that anybody has? Any additional items of business?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Public comment. If there's anybody that would like to make a comment on things that were not addressed today, feel free. I'm not seeing any hands raised
None in here.
there.
Hey, Kevin.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
he's back on.
Yeah, I got back on fine. I don't know how I did it, but I made it. This maybe falls more under public comment than attorney items anyway. But I had a few things I wanted to say about that meeting on May 31, where the agenda was amended at the last minute to add discussion of the ruling of the Independent Ethics Commission. That's been troubling me ever since that happened, and I have some comments I want to make about it. As I said at the time, that was not a BOCC matter to start with. Despite what somebody said, the Board of County Commissioners is not required to acknowledge an ethical ruling from the IEC. It did not have to be on the agenda for any reason. It was not the business of the Board of County Commissioners to deal with that or to consider it or to talk about it. Public comment was allowed. In my opinion, public comment should be allowed to be limited rather to matters that are under consideration as action items by the BOCC, or perhaps to a county resident who has a specific complaint about a road or something like that. That's what public comment is all about. I don't think public comment was ever intended to be used to conduct an orchestrated political rally for the purpose of publicly shaming one of the commissioners. I thought that was very inappropriate for that to happen. So there was one comment I wanted to, somebody said, well, Commissioner Flower should be required to reimburse the county for my attorney fees. That person does not understand that my contract with the county requires me to provide legal services for a fixed amount per month. I do not bill the county at an hourly rate. So the time I spent involved in that ethical violation case was not costing the county any money. And I don't know that anybody ever even understood that ultimately that money was reimbursed to the county, the money that was paid over to Cindy Flower, and that the Ethics Commission found was the basis for an ethical violation. That money ultimately was reimbursed by the Corona Relief Fund Committee. So the county did not lose any money over that. I guess the one thing I want to say, and I've been involved in hundreds and hundreds of cases at the federal level, the state level, the local level, during about 30 years as a trial lawyer before I became a judge. And it's a basic rule of basic principle of jurisprudence that a tribunal, which is a court, and the Ethics Commission sits as a court essentially, that you deal with the case that's before you. The case that was before the Ethics Commission, based on the complaint that was filed, was that Commissioner Flower had voted to give his wife a pay raise. I challenged that from the very beginning, and I challenged it repeatedly in various meetings we had in pre-hearing conferences that were held. And I kept bringing it up. You know, there never was any issue about a pay raise. And that really, even though the complainant, Mr. McMahon, or his handlers, and I got a feeling there were several that were behind this, none of them ever thought about amending their complaint to make it maybe correspond with what the actual hearing was all about. Instead, the Ethics Commission, when we had the hearing and we presented our evidence and presented our defense, that there was never any discussion about a pay raise for Cindy Flower, it became very apparent that the Ethics Commission was going to go down its own rabbit hole and find things that were never complained of, and based its finding of an ethical violation on something that had never been alleged, and that frankly, Commissioner Flower and I were not really prepared to address. So I actually found the whole proceeding, the IEC proceeding, to be somewhat of a farce. And when Commissioner Flower and I left, I told him that I feel like we won because there was no proof of what you were accused of, but I don't have any confidence in this commission to limit it to that, and they didn't. So I had a lot of issues with that. But the main thing is, this should never have been allowed to go on the way it did in front of the Board of County Commissioners for 30 minutes of, I guess I would call it orchestrated public shaming that was organized in advance. And people showed up and everybody took turns saying the same thing over and over again. It was really a political rally that the commissioners have no business being involved in. Your job is to deal with county business. So I just want to make that statement as a matter of record because I was upset by the way that was handled. So thank you for listening to me.
Yes, sir. And I guess I would apologize to you then. I am the one that took that action to put it on the agenda as an item of discussion. When I was aware that we had multiple people there to speak, I thought it would be cleaner isn't necessarily the right word, but it would be better to have it as an item of discussion rather than to have everything come in as public comment. So I am, and I apologize, I did not confer with you beforehand either. It was a decision I made there at the beginning of the meeting. So I apologize, sir.
Thank you. I don't blame you for that. I just didn't like the way it all happened, that a group came in and took over county commissioner meeting for the purpose of conducting essentially, like I said, a political rally.
Thank you. Anything else?
Not from me.
Okay, we will.
One quick question.
Okay.
Hey, Clint,
Yes,
was the decision you're going to attend the personnel or the executive session via telephone and not live stream?
well, if there's any way we can do it this way and keep the public out of it, that's fine. But otherwise, I think I have to call in on somebody's phone to
IT
participate.
department indicates that we cannot do it via live stream, so we'll have to have you call in.
All right.
Got a
Just
number.
somebody call me when you're ready for me to participate.
Okay,
Just the
thank you.
iPhone. Call. I'll call you, Clint.
We have to keep the.
All right, sounds good.
We have to keep the meeting recording. We're gonna mute and turn off the camera, but the meeting will still be recorded for the record. So when you come back out of executive.
Personnel doesn't get recorded.
You don't get.
Kelly
this.
does, sorry.
I
No, it
recorded.
doesn't. Okay, no. Ending the meeting will end the live stream, the recording on YouTube. So we mute and turn off the cameras so that there's nothing recorded onto it. It's just a blank space for that amount of time. And then when you come out of executive session, it is still being recorded on YouTube. You turn the mic back on and the camera's back on.
And then it'll
You
come
can
back up.
complete your meeting and then close it all off. That way the record's whole and not pieced together.
Yeah, I am a little concerned about that. In the event something malfunctions or there's attention to detail at some point moving on, I'm not saying necessarily today, we would be in such a huge position for liability. I just think the smart thing to do is end the whole thing and then start it up again later.
So we
That's me.
won't be able to retain that recording for YouTube.
That's okay. We're not under any legislative directive to do any of that. That's our choice.
We have to have our own copies.
Don't live you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's risky, but that's me.
There was a hand up.
I did not see it when I went there. You would have to motion to me.
Well, Dale Adams had her hand up, but she must have put it down. So.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, I move we go into executive session.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion to go into executive session. Is that for?
I should.
a Personnel matter?
Sorry, I should say for two separate personnel issues. For information only. And that there will be no personnel at the meeting by attorney's direction, not necessary.
And your second goes along with that, sir.
Mhm.
Okay, so I have a motion to go into executive session for two separate personnel matters, not requiring personnel to be here at this time. Those in Favor of,
I know it's really not a debatable motion, I don't think, but I'm also gonna request that we terminate any of the live stream and recording.
okay. So motion on the floor to, and your second goes with, along with that as well, Bill.
Yeah, you record it separately, don't you?
Yes,
So it
Kelly
doesn't,
recorded.
that's, you said
And then-
all recording.
Well, I said in connection with the live streaming.
So there's a motion on the floor to go into executive session for two separate personnel matters, not requiring any personnel here at this time, and stopping our live stream. Those in favor of doing so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm
Aye.
assuming you will